is up, everybody?
Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, episode 67. And today's a really exciting episode because we are talking about the case of Alissa Turney. And we actually have a guest here who is Sarah Turney. She is the sister of Alissa. And if you guys are at all familiar with the case of Alissa Turney, it's a pretty interesting one. I know that a lot of you probably will know about because I have covered it on my channel and it's one of my most viewed videos. But I did the video with Sarah and we met last summer.
Yes.
And we've just kind of been talking. We've become friends since. And I figured it would be awesome for her to come out to the show. So she flew all the way out here today from Arizona.
Yes.
And we're super excited. So we're going to be going into all of the details that we didn't get to into the video and kind of talk about where you're at now. And yeah, it's going to be a really good episode.
And this is just such a wild story. Like, it's going to literally just blow your mind and leave your jaw on the floor when you hear this story. And
it's honestly wild.
Thank you so much for coming on and, sharing with all of us this crazy life story of yours. And obviously the disappearance of your sister is tragic and, but I think it's great that we can, get this out there to more people and, that you're here and you're going to give us the full
tea.
Story. Yeah.
It's definitely tea. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, no. And thank you. I mean, that's the whole point. And that's what keeps it from eating away at my heart. I have to advocate for her. I have to keep working at it or else it's just sadness.
Right.
So thank you for this amazing opportunity and for the video. I mean, people loved it.
Yeah.
And I would have never imagined that there would be a video with 1 million+ views on it. My goodness.
It did really well.
Yeah.
It did really well. And I think I said this earlier to you, but I think it's really inspiring for a lot of other people who have lost family members or are struggling with the police or, need some type of inspiration or support. And I think seeing you doing so much for your sister. I mean, since Sarah was on my YouTube channel, that was kind of the start of the internet stuff for you this year, at least.
Yeah.
She's done 10 podcasts since?
Yeah. I've lost count, to be honest.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. I've been blessed with opportunities to get her story out. It's really been amazing. And your video really opened up a lot of those opportunities.
Well, you came to me, dude. Yeah. And you know what? At the end of the day, what you've done for your sister is just, it's remarkable, really. How really much you've dedicated a decent part of your life. It's been a job for you. It's been a second job since when? You must have been, how old were you? 7th grade when this happened?
Yeah. So I was about 12 years old. And of course it wasn't a full-time job back then, but yeah, no, it's pretty much a full-time job now.
It's been your whole life.
Yeah, no, it is. And I'm happy to do it. I mean, it's not a happy topic, but like I said, it has to be done and it's better than not doing anything for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. Yeah. I can't imagine being in your situation where this happens to you and not doing anything and just like you said, how it eat away at you. I can only imagine what that would be like. It'd be so hard.
So before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that we decided to come up with some limited edition merch to help fundraise for Sarah's efforts legally, because there's quite a lot, right?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And just, everything from marketing, right now I would love to get something like a billboard or something larger. But yeah, everything's been out of my own pocket, which is fine. I'm happy to, but any help is greatly appreciated.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's been multiple years of lots of different things.
Oh,
yeah. And we didn't even think to run a campaign through my video when we did it. It was the first time I worked with the family. So I wanted to do something this time, and we have an awesome designer. Her Instagram handle is Hybrea, and she designed a really pretty cactus design for us that Sarah kind of came up with the idea for it. And it's really cool just because this whole case takes place in the desert, and we just thought it was something that's still kind of positive and fun, but also, 100% of the earnings from that will go directly to Sarah. So if you're interested in that, there are t-shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve, and hoodies and mugs. So we will link that below. But let's go ahead and get started talking about this case.
We'll just start where it all began. Let's talk about your family, and then you can talk, introduce your father, because he's a huge piece of this, obviously. So if you want to just start with a little bit of background about your dad and
where
your
do you
family.
think the story kind of begins, with your dad?
Sure. You could really go back into the depths of the psychology into his childhood, and to keep it short.
Yeah.
He was poor and moved a lot and didn't have a great childhood, and there's lots of rumors about what happened and not a lot of confirmed things, so it's a little fuzzy there.
Okay.
But I think where the story really starts is when he met my mom. I think it makes a lot more sense to start there.
I was going to say right around that time.
Yeah. So he met my mom, back in the 80s. And she was a loan officer, and I think he was an electrician at the time for the union.
Yeah.
And they met up and got married, and he had 3 boys, and she had a boy and a girl, and together they had me. Yeah. So that's how my blended family came to be. It's his, hers, ours, theirs. Yeah. I mean, my dad had a reverse vasectomy to have me. So there was
you can do that.
I know, apparently.
You can undo it.
Yeah.
I thought it was permanent.
I thought it was permanent too. Don't they like cut it?
They can reattach, I guess.
Yeah, no, unless, I mean, it could be a lie. He's told me my whole life.
Yeah,
somebody should look into that.
Yeah, let us know, guys.
I've
Do you know
always
if
heard
that's
that's
possible?
Once you snip, it's done. Like, that's it.
Actually, I think it can be reversed. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it can too. I know.
But that's interesting. So he decided later on in life to have another kid.
Yeah, he was 40 years old. My mom was 30. They were 10 years apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, my father was very good looking and charming and manipulative. And so he scored all the ladies, is what I'm told, which is really gross, but very true, apparently.
The ladies' man, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
Huh.
Yeah, it's gross.
That is weird.
But yeah, he met my mom, they married, and they had me together. And then about 4 years later, I was 4 and Alissa was about 8. My mom was diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
And then she passed away, unfortunately, from lung cancer. And then it was my dad and 6 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, my brothers were much older, so they weren't in the house a whole lot. I'd say by the time I was 8 or so, like, they were all gone. So the majority of my and Alyssa's childhood, it was me, Alissa, and my dad. Yeah.
Wow. So would you say that because of that, your relationship with your dad was extremely close, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was my only parent at the time. All my brothers were older, even my sister, of course, older. I'm the youngest of 6. Like, I'm uncool and not fun, and nobody wants to hang out with me. So it was like me and my dad. We were pals. I wasn't cool. Yeah. And I totally get that. But yeah, I mean, my dad was my superhero. He was everything to me. He was like the example of a model citizen. He was an ex-police officer.
Yeah.
He was a Boy Scout leader. He was like the captain of the softball team for my brothers and stuff. Like, he helped people fix their cars. He was a good guy.
Upstanding citizen for that matter.
And then he was in the military as well, right? Or you think?
He was in the military, but he never went to Vietnam, like he says.
Okay.
He never finally saw combat.
No, he finally admitted that in court at his bomb case, which we'll get to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, he finally broke down in court and admitted that he wasn't ever in Vietnam because he was under oath.
Liar.
Gotcha.
So he lied to his whole family the whole way. But I didn't know that as a kid, right? I'm growing up and thinking that he's this great guy. I mean, he never drank. He wasn't abusive. Like, he barely swore. And he let me do whatever I want. We'd eat McDonald's every night, and I'd go to school when I wanted to, and he'd take me out of school early to go get a scratcher ticket because it was fun.
Yeah.
We'd stay up late and watch movies. I saw Titanic at like midnight, at the Dollar Theater on a school night.
So you were like, I have the coolest dad, hands down. Like,
yeah.
I can see that.
Probably out of all your friends, you're like, even your friends probably loved him too because he was just so cool and so different from like my parents. My parents were like the opposite of that. I was like bed by 8, no movies above PG or something, so that's pretty cool. So
yeah, my house was like the place to be for sure. Like, all my friends came over. We had all the video games, all the junk food, stay up late, do whatever we want.
The fun house.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of memories, like all 3 of you together, that are like really fond or really good that you have with him?
Not really. Not the 3 of us together.
Interesting.
Yeah, because my dad and my sister fought a lot, which, I mean, in my childhood, like, I have almost no memories, which is insane to me. I think it's probably like a trauma thing. I'm sure I just blocked it out.
There's
probably a lot of unresolved stuff there.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not a lot. Like, it was mostly me and my dad hanging out. Like, we would play Monopoly together, and my sister didn't want to be involved. I mean, and she was older, and it's not cool for her to do, so I get that too.
Yeah.
But no, not a lot of us together. Like, I was his buddy, and then they would fight.
So their relationship was totally different than yours.
Totally different, yeah. So while I was out doing whatever I wanted, Alissa had really, really strict rules. I mean, she, of course, ate McDonald's for dinner every night too, and all that good stuff. But she wasn't allowed to stay out late. She had to keep in close contact with him about where she was going to be at. He, surveilled on her. Like, he would follow her and record her. You know, we had a camera in the vent at one point that was just to record her.
Yep.
He would go to her work and
that's so
watch
weird.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember he'd go to her job.
How early do you think that started with her? Like, if you had to guess, like,
gosh, I'm trying to think. It was when we moved into a specific home. So, I mean, she was probably in high school at the time when he got really crazy over it.
Okay.
I mean, she'd always had stricter rules, but when he really started watching her, she was a little bit older.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just trying to I'm trying to like think about in my head, like, you know, if she was younger, what could have been the reason? But as you're older, as a teenager, could it be only because she's, you know, starting to mature and, you know, do normal teenage type stuff where as the good father that he is, he's just trying to keep her on the straight and narrow path, or is there something more there? Versus like, that's why I was just wondering, like, was it early on that you did you ever sense a shift in the way that he treated her at a certain point in time? I
mean, when she became a teenager,
was like definite changed.
Yeah.
And you were just like, oh, this is normal. He's just keeping an eye on my crazy teenage sister.
Yeah. I mean, you know, she'd come home and have drinks or, you know, she'd come home after having drinks and then she got caught with weed. And when I'm 10, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Bad.
You smoke weed and drink.
Yeah, you're so bad.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
And she would tell me like, don't be like me, you know, because she was drunk.
Yeah.
You know, when you come home drunk for the first time, you grab your little sister and tell her to never drink because you feel sick. You're like, don't ever be like me. Like I remember that night. It's like one of my best memories of her, like as crazy as it is.
It's a bonding moment in a way.
Yeah. Well, and so I thought that. I was like, no, that's bad. I will never drink. I will never do drugs. And of course I did all of those things, even more so than she did at a younger
how that
age.
Works.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it was really, really different. Now, looking back as an adult, I can see how weird it was growing up. I didn't see it then. Like, I just thought I was a good kid and that she wasn't a good kid and that she needed more attention. Mm-hmm. You know, and he also always said that she had ADD. So he would sit down and do her homework with her every night. So, you know, it wasn't always like weird moments where they were yelling. Like, there were genuine moments of him helping with homework. You know, it wasn't all bad, which is what makes it so confusing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the confusion throughout the years of just like, what the hell? Like, how did this happen? You know?
Yeah. Well,
that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think I knew really how it affected me until I got older. Like, I just wrote about it, but one of my clearest memories I do have is Alissa was caught smoking weed at a place she wasn't supposed to be. She went over to go babysit for this woman because she loved the kid, because Alissa loved kids. Mm-hmm. So she went with some friends to go watch this lady's kid, and the lady gave her some pot. And my dad found out, and he goes, get in the car. We got to pick up Alissa. You know, she's in trouble. And so
she's in trouble because she's at babysitter and they gave her pot?
Yeah, because she's smoking pot.
Oh, okay. At the babysitters?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't supposed to be at that babysitter because my father knew her as like a known drug user for smoking pot.
Okay.
So she wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't supposed to be smoking pot, obviously. So she's in trouble now. Okay. And we get there and we, you know, they get in the car and they start yelling at each other. And literally my hearing just goes out. And like, I say nothing. Like, I'm just like so zen. You'd think like as a kid, you'd be like, oh my God, like I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
But I remember I just said nothing. And like we go to the house and I remember just like laying down in bed and taking a nap and saying nothing and just waking up and it's like back.
Weird.
What?
So like I feel like it affected me in ways I didn't
maybe
know.
You heard something or like.
I just remember they were yelling so loud and it was so loud and then it just stopped.
So what would he yell at her about? Just about having the weed and stuff? And
yeah, being irresponsible and not doing what she was supposed to. That
so
she was
like normal parental discipline.
Yeah, I mean, I heard him call her a bitch before, but he called me a bitch. I mean,
right. Yeah. So it wasn't. So he would like cuss at you guys and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not me when I was little, not until I was much older and was like giving it back to him.
Yeah,
but at her, yeah. I mean, he called her dumb. We have that on video.
Yeah, we'll show that later.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should play that.
He called her a stupid moron.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so glad that you have that in a sense because it really does show. I mean, it paints a really clear picture of the two of you and your relationship.
It really does.
Yeah.
In that moment, it's like
it's 50 seconds, but it tells a whole story. Like it really does. It's crazy. And God, I remember the day you found that. It was like June 8th or something.
I think I texted you, didn't I?
Yeah, you messaged me. You're like, I just found this clip.
No,
I was freaking out. Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then I didn't watch it for a little while because I didn't know like how insane it was.
You were scared.
And then when I did, I was like, holy shit, like this is insane.
Yeah. It really,
I guess we should go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this on YouTube, you should see. So Sarah's in this. How old were you in this?
Oh gosh, like 8.
You're so cute. You look like my sister. But you can kind of tell, like I was saying to Sarah, like you can kind of tell, that he doesn't like being recorded.
Yeah.
Like he's like, turn it off. And then you can even see Sarah's face. She's like, what? I'm just recording myself. Like, and you could tell even as a kid, you kind of knew like you weren't supposed to be filming him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then he starts like acting. It's really weird.
Yeah.
All right, we'll play it.
So this is 1997. 4 years before Alissa actually goes missing.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the red button.
What?
Hit the red button now.
I don't want to. How do I record?
Hit the red button.
Sarah! I'm recording.
Sarah! Sarah! Dad's a pervert.
Yes, sir. Give me the camera now. And you're still recording. And Alissa is stupid moron. Alissa's a stupid moron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I mean, I don't have any moments with my dad like that.
Yeah, I definitely never, oh my gosh. I never called my dad a pervert, ever. There's a reason she said that.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
absolutely.
so clear.
You
Like,
wouldn't
and she
just
knew
say that.
you were filming. She saw you were filming and she said it.
Yeah. I mean, if only I knew. You can see I like skip away because I was like the most oblivious child that's ever existed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why was he throwing her sandals at her?
I don't know. I have no idea. It looked like, but why is she walking around in her socks also is a funny question.
Yeah.
But no,
Seems like he was like threatening her. Like he knew that she could say something else. Like when he was, she was saying that. And then he was almost like throwing like
shut
warning.
up.
Yeah.
Showing
That makes a lot more sense.
aggression in kind of a passive sense.
Yeah, like especially because the camera, and he's like, stop recording, stop. Why would he not want you to record him? Like whatever, kids playing with a camera.
Why would you have the camera in the first place if you weren't going to expect your kid or the camera to be on?
Whatever.
at some
Nothing
point?
bad's happening, but he was like, turn that. He seems so mad.
And his face though, like his face
Yeah,
is,
when he
I
takes
mean, I
it
don't
from
know.
you.
That could be totally him normal,
No.
but he has this like
He looked
almost
mad.
angry face
Yeah.
on, and I'm like,
And then
I
he
think
starts calling her stupid. It's almost like to discredit her too. Like she doesn't know what she's
Stupid
talking
mom.
about.
Oh yeah, that's always his big thing. Is don't you remember how stupid she was?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
he's
insane.
not.
Do you think he really believed she was stupid? Like she was just like, what does he mean by that? Is he trying to be like she's slow or like?
Yeah, that's what he tried to say, but she wasn't. She had a better memory than me. Like we would joke about it.
So
Yeah.
what
She
the
has
hell?
the same thing. She had ADHD like me.
Yeah.
But she was never on any pills. Like it was and we found out later that it was diagnosed by his psychiatrist that he was seeing for like 15 years. Like he was a friend of the family. Like when this gentleman lost his practice, eventually, like he came and moved his stuff in our garage is how close they were. They'd been friends his whole life. This is the same doctor that sat me and Alissa down when, I was 10 or something. So Alissa was 14 or so, and sat us down and said, you really need to be nicer to your father. You're contributing to his depression. Which now I understand.
So they were like buddy
so
buddy.
inappropriate.
Yeah. Like buddy.
Super buddy buddy.
Their relationship is not normal for
No,
a
'cause it was-
psychiatrist and a patient. Yeah.
Well, it was mandated for him to receive his disability benefits that he go to psychiatry so many
Gotcha.
times a week. So I think
Wow.
they had an understanding that neither of them really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing with his other doctor. He was found to have an inappropriate relationship with his next doctor. He would give her pills. She would prescribe it, and he would give them to her.
What?
Yeah, because he's so charming and
master
manipulative.
manipulator.
Yes,
Wow.
even to a psychiatrist.
Wow.
Clearly.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'll wait till you hear the rest of the story about this guy.
Yeah.
It gets weirder.
So I guess, is there anything else before we move on to May 17th or?
There's so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, today is May 17th.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes,
a very
those
important
were-
day in this case. It was the day that Alissa went missing.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do it on this day,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
It is.
I feel like she's here with us in a
Aw.
way,
Yeah.
Maybe.
She's always there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
you
have to
believe,
believe it.
but that's how I never know what to say to people because I don't know like what your personal beliefs are.
Yeah.
But I believe that. I believe spirits can stick around in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have to believe that like somebody that has passed away is watching over me because
Yeah.
I like how I've come out of this mostly unscathed is not normal.
I think you're right. I think there's a reason why you feel the need to keep fighting too, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, going back, it's because we were so close. She was like the only mom I ever had.
Yeah.
You know, she would take care of me and make sure I didn't look like an idiot when I was leaving the house. I mean, if it were up to my dad, like he wouldn't brush my hair for days. He wouldn't make me take a bath. He didn't like wash my clothes. Like I was washing my clothes when I was like 7 years old. Like
while he's doing what?
I don't know, playing video games. He was on the couch. He watched a lot of movies. He didn't like have a ton of hobbies outside of that. He'd play guitar every once in a while.
So you were 4 when your mom passed?
Yes.
Okay. So how much do you remember of that whole time? Like probably
almost nothing.
Anything.
Yeah.
That's pretty early.
Yeah. And honestly, I can't tell if it's like home videos or real memories because there's so many home videos of her.
Yeah. You probably, right. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So almost none really. So, Alissa was the only motherly figure I've ever had in my entire life.
Right.
Yeah, and you know everything I wanted to be. I looked up to her. She was super cool. In my eyes, she was wearing like Care Bear shirts and had fun jewelry and listened to alternative music like Marilyn Manson, Eminem. And I remember my dad like scratching up her Marilyn Manson album.
Yeah,
yeah, and
thinking she's like a devil worshiper or something.
Exactly. And at the same age, I'm over here like 3-6 Mafia. You know what I mean? Like, And he's like, whatever.
He was so harsh on her. Yeah, that's one thing you got to understand about this case is like the difference in parenting style. I mean, it's still the same dad, but he had completely different styles when it came to his 2 girls. It's bizarre.
Which I mean, I'll just say like it is sometimes normal for that to happen to some extent where the younger one does like in my case. Not on
such an extreme though.
But even my story is kind of extreme in the sense of like my parents are super controlling and hard on me. And then my brother came along and he just slid. I mean,
same thing with my parents, but like it wasn't that way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is,
yeah, it does make sense. But it's different with Michael Turney though, because he was like obsessively controlling over Alissa. Yeah, exactly. It was not normal. It was like to an extreme, and then almost to non even existent parenting with you. Like he just was like, do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And that's strange.
Extremes on either side.
Right.
Yeah. And that happened even a little bit before she was gone. I mean, I started skipping school every other day, and when I was like 9, I mean, it was like 4th grade.
Wow, you're skipping school in 4th grade?
Yeah, well, I didn't have to skip. He'd call me out. Like he'd come in every day and be like, "Do you want to go to school today?" And what's a 9-year-old gonna say?
Like, I'm staying home.
No,
I got a date with Bob Barker over here. Like, what are you talking about? Like literally the man that raised me. It's fine.
But it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, and during that time, Alissa would go to school every day, and she got good grades, and she had a job. I think now she was trying to get out of the house every chance she could. Which makes total sense.
Well, if you're fighting with your dad every time you go home, why would you want to be there?
Yeah, and about everything. I mean, to the point where I remember one day he had all these poster boards, and he starts writing the rules on them, like big poster boards, big letters. And he writes every rule for Alissa and posts them on the wall.
But just for Alissa?
Just for Alissa, because he says that she can't remember them because she's not smart enough to remember them.
Right.
So he has to post them on the wall.
Why would you ever, even if your child had ADHD, which is really not a reason to call them not smart, but even if they had something more serious, who would walk around saying, my child is not smart? Like, my child's dumb. No one says that. It's so strange.
Well, you're tearing down your child. Like, why would you want to do that?
And tell them like their whole life and be like, you need these big rules because you're dumb.
Because I think he wanted her to depend on him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am so dumb. I really can't take care of myself. Mm-hmm. Oh, I am afraid to drive. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. I can't do this. That's what an abuser does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so much like an abusive relationship.
Totally.
It's somebody telling the other person, you're not good enough. You can't do anything without me.
So that's one thing with this case too, is you started feeling like there was almost a relationship between them more than just son or, father, daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not at the time, of course. Yeah. But now
looking back.
Yeah. Just the way he talks about her and the way he talked about her then, it's just gross.
And they'd even fight like they were in a relationship. And
yeah. Yeah. I mean, when she got older, he would like talk crap about her boyfriend's car. And it's like, that dude's 16. You're going to talk crap about his car. But it's like such like a, no offense to men, but it's like a guy thing. Like, that guy has a crappier truck than me. Look at him.
Yeah.
Like, totally. Yeah.
Well, why would you say that about a 16-year-old your daughter is dating?
Because he's a freak. Yeah.
So would you say that he, like, now that you explain it like that, would you say he might have been like grooming her to us, like in the term of like somebody who is an abuser or possibly abductor or something like that? Would you say he could have been grooming her to try to break her down, to brainwash, like, I think you've mentioned that before. Like, did you guys feel like you were brainwashed by him to some extent? Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know I was brainwashed as a kid. I mean, absolutely. And I think she was too. I mean, he really just built it up for her. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to like go back and watch, but she knew a lot more than I did. Like, she was straight up fighting back with him, and I'm just sitting here taking it. So she definitely knew something I didn't. But he always told her, if you go to Child Protective Services, they will separate you. Yeah, like, you and your sister will be separated. Is that what you want for your sister? And she's wrote about it in letters. And when I saw the letters, I like broke down crying, because I realized, like, it finally realized, like, this whole time she'd been protecting me. And I didn't know, because I thought she was a jerk. Like, she called me fat and we fought, and like my fish like jumped out of the tank and she said it killed itself because it hated me so much. Like, that was our relationship.
Right.
Like, normal sister relationship. Me and my sister were brutal on each other. I totally get it.
You get it.
But you love your sister at the end of the day. Of course she was protecting you.
Yeah. I mean, and it breaks my heart to think that she didn't come forward because she was so afraid that she wouldn't be able to protect me anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. And, and he talks about it. He says, well, she would have, like you said, Sarah, she would have slit my throat if I would have touched you. And I said, yeah, that's why you didn't. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But he implanted
Why
it
would
in her
he
from a young
even
age.
say that?
Because he's so guilty.
Why would he say that? What did you say when he said that to you? Like, when he's like, if I touched you, she would slit my throat. What would you say to that?
I said, yeah, she would. Because it's true. Like, you think I'm fierce and I fight hard? Like, you don't.
I can't even imagine.
How about
Alyssa
the fact that he's even bringing up if I touched you?
Yeah. Like,
but he's saying if I touched you. Like, didn't that like, where you're like, why are you even saying that?
It's his like justification. I didn't touch you. You didn't see anything. Nothing happened
That's
to
how
you.
He equates it in his head.
Yeah. So how could anything have happened to Alyssa? You didn't. That's what he always tells me. Sarah, rely on your memory. You don't remember anything.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I know, and you know my memory's bad because, and we were discussing this earlier, like how he had boxes and boxes of prescription pills, and I would be given these really, really strong medications at times, at a really early age. So I'm sure my memory has all sorts of gaps. I'm sure that might have been intentional.
Be completely intentional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he could have been drugging you other times too, like you didn't even know. If he's willing to just hand you pills when you're young, like imagine he could grind something up and put in your food, and you probably, like, no wonder you have so many memory gaps. Who knows what he was doing?
Exactly. No, it's terrifying.
Admit it. You may think that cybercrime is something that happens to other people. You may think that no one wants your data, or that hackers can't grab your passwords or credit card details, but actually you're wrong. Stealing data from unsuspecting people on public Wi-Fi is one of the simplest and cheapest ways for hackers to make money. When you leave your internet connection unencrypted, you might as well be writing your passwords and credit card numbers on a huge billboard for the rest of the world to see. That's why I decided to take action to protect myself from cyber criminals. I use ExpressVPN. So essentially what ExpressVPN is it secures and anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting all of your data as well as hiding your public IP address. So you basically are invisible to hackers. ExpressVPN has easy to use apps that run seamlessly in the background of your computer, phone, or tablet. So you can secure all of those devices no matter where you are in the world. And you can always make sure you have a secure web browsing experience. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/milehigher. That's expressvpn.com/milehigher for 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/milehigher to learn more.
So as you guys know, Kendall and I have 2 dogs named Bernie and Sadie. They're Havanese, and they're extremely important to us. Obviously, they're members of the family, and so their health is as important to us as our own health is, and that's where dog food comes in. It can be hard sometimes to find the right dog food for your dog and figure out what's the best for their health. So since we've had our dogs, we have had them on a couple different types of food, but most recently we have tried a new brand of dog food called Ollie. Now, if you've never heard about Ollie puts your dog's health first with vet formulated recipes and fully transparent ingredients to give your dog the healthiest food possible. Ollie makes fresh meals for dogs with real ingredients that people can eat and delivers them to you on a regular schedule. So this is really good stuff. The dogs were super thrilled about trying Ollie, and it's fresh, it comes refrigerated, and and then you freeze it until you're ready to, thaw out some for, feeding your dogs. What's crazy about Ollie is they beat out store-bought dog food at a 10-to-1 on the palatability scale. So dogs absolutely love it. But I think what the best part about Ollie is that you can create customized vet formulated recipes with all natural ingredients, no preservatives, and they're all sourced from US family farms. So what's awesome is you go to myollie.com and you answer a few questions about your dog specifically, and they'll create a custom recipe for your dog and then ship you the pre-portioned meals so that your pup gets the perfect portion every time. Ollie has delivered over 5 million meals and counting, and shipping is free. And if for some reason your dog doesn't like the Ollie meals, they have a money back guarantee, which is awesome. So Ollie is offering our listeners 60% off your first box plus a free bag of treats at myollie.com/try/milehigher. This is the best deal that they have available anywhere. All you got to do is go to myollie.com/try/milehigher for 60% off plus a free bag of treats. Again, that's myollie.com/try/milehigher. Check out Ollie today.
So, let's go to where, so your mom passed. This was what year?
I always forget. I'm a terrible person. It's 92 or 93.
You're good. It's so much. But so there's a lot of kind of feeling that he may have had something to do with that. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So it was this year, I think, that I started to find this out, maybe a little bit last year, but I found out that my mom died one day before her insurance policy was to be canceled or lapse or expire or whatever you would call it.
Like life insurance?
Yeah, her life insurance.
So you got to keep paying for it. Otherwise it'll cancel or something.
Yeah. So had she died the next day, my father wouldn't have gotten any money, which is like so creepy, number one. And then, my aunt started coming out and saying that my mom was telling them how afraid she was that he was over medicating her on morphine. And that my grandmother had the same fear, and that they would like watch her to make sure that he wasn't over medicating her.
Wow. Yeah. So that was a concern even back then.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, granted, she really did have lung cancer, of course, and she really was terminal. Like you can see it in the pictures.
Yeah. Did he speed it up though?
Right. Money? I don't know. I mean, one day before.
Well, the 1 day difference, you got to at least consider it, I think.
Was it expected that day? Like, was it kind of like she was like, it was kind of the end, or was it all of a sudden?
Well, it's hard to say. She was at like a specialty hospital in California.
Okay.
And then they, said there's nothing we can do. And they brought her home to die. But it was weeks. So it wasn't as if you have one day, get it done.
But like the day it happened, were people shocked that it happened so quick? Or was it kind of like that was around the time that
I just don't think you know, right?
I don't think you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They like didn't give us an estimate, from what I understand.
You can't predict when somebody dies. I mean,
yeah.
Some people, sometimes the doctor will give like 6 months and it'll be like 2 weeks.
No, I just meant like how sudden did it look like something happened that day?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody really like freaked out at the time. Of course, I guess my aunts did. I didn't know, but I was a kid. Who's going to tell the 4-year-old?
Yeah, I think your dad may have done it. Yeah,
yeah.
It's so crazy because it's either coincidence that happened, or planned.
There's too many damn coincidences in this case. Like so many.
To the point where it's like, come on, like there's no way that this happens this many times. Yeah.
Right. Well, and while we're kind of in the past and talking about murders, going back, I mean, I know I said, let's start it when they get married, but just one little tidbit from his past.
Yeah.
In the 70s. Yeah. When he was a deputy sheriff, when he was a police officer, my uncle, my father's brother, shot his wife for supposedly cheating on him with my dad. So that's fun. Thank goodness she didn't die, but it was an attempted murder, and he definitely cleaned up the crime scene. I mean, the detectives on Alissa's case have stated that they know that he helped cover up the crime.
Your dad.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was an accessory to an attempted murder.
So he'd be willing to do that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask about that, and I was like, oh, is this going to get so confusing if I bring that up? But
it's hard. I know. It's such a confusing story.
No, it makes sense. Totally makes sense.
So, I think there's a good chance, honestly, that he had something to do with that timing.
Yeah.
1 day.
Yeah.
I mean, And do you know what the life insurance policy was? It was probably like worth it, I assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
For him, at least.
I'm sure. Like, he took the whole family to Disney World for a week.
Really?
The whole thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
How was he when she passed? Was he like his mental state?
I mean, that's when people say he broke. At least his first break, because I think he also really broke after Alissa. But yeah, I mean, that's when people say that he went from being a super dad, like, and not the super dad in my eyes. So my brothers grew up with a guy who made dinner every night, who worked all day. You know, he wasn't on disability back then, so he would work a full-time job, come home and make dinner and take care of the kids. Like, he was legit super dad back then.
Yeah. And what's the age difference between you guys?
Oh gosh, I mean, my oldest brother is almost 20 years older than me. So
okay, yeah.
This is going
it's almost
back
like
to the
another
60s.
lifetime.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, my dad was 40 when he had me, so it was a different lifetime. But yeah, when my mom passed, apparently that's his big break, his big mental break.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
God.
So I guess what would be next? Is there anything to cover before May 17th that you think was like an important event, or?
I mean, it's hard to say. There's little cues, right? Like when Alissa was 9, she had gone to a teacher that my father was dating and said that she had sex with my dad.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so wild.
Sets a scene for before.
Yeah. And you were explaining this to us in the car, because that was like, wait, what?
Yeah. No. And I guess she just kind of played it off. I don't really know. I would
But she was dating your dad, this teacher.
Yeah. She was Alyssa's teacher, and she started dating my dad, and she was like the only mother figure I ever had. Like I was telling you, I was super attached to her and her whole family, and they broke up, which is fine. But Alissa tried to confide in her, and I'm guessing that's why my dad probably never brought another female back around.
Wow.
Like literally never again. I begged him.
Wow.
I was like, I want a stepmom so bad, and he's like, no, you'd run her off.
Because he knew, you might confide in her.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So if you're new to this case and you didn't already figure it out, there's some speculation, and we're all pretty much sure that there was some type of sexual relationship between Alissa and her father, Michael Turney. And we don't know how much, like, or how far that went or how long it went, but it's kind of something you just figure out as we go through this. You'll see even more signs of it.
Yeah, we know that my mom got Alissa checked for signs of sexual abuse when she was really young.
She did.
Yeah.
You know what? A mom doesn't bring her kid in for no reason. Like, she must have known too.
Yeah.
Or had a feeling.
Yeah. I mean, my whole life, my aunts told me that, you know, they were trying to get me and Alissa out of there, and that my dad was my mom was going to divorce my dad. And
so it's like, you're sure that happened pretty much.
Yeah. 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 I mean, she told like 25 people, and there's different accounts, and it spans like 20, I guess not 20 years, but it spans like 10 years. And yeah, I'm pretty damn sure. And, you know, the police are the one that sat me down and told me this.
Yeah.
It's not like I came to it all on my own. Like
True.
A lot of my suspicion comes right from the police investigation, them telling me, them trying to convince me.
Which we would hope that they probably have enough evidence to be able to say something like that to you. I mean,
they did then, but not now.
Yeah, right.
Apparently all that evidence is gone.
What a shame.
Oh my God. So at the time that Alissa goes missing, she's in high school at Paradise Valley, right, in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's got a job. She's working at Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I come up there and get my French toast sticks. I was so sad when they got rid of those.
Those were good.
It was like a memory. Like I cried. Like it was a thing. It's
I'm
fine.
sure. God. So at the time of her disappearance, it's May. So it's the end of the school year. And you want to just go through that day. And
Yeah, so it was the last day of school for me and Alissa. We were in the same school district. It was her junior year in high school, and he took her out of school early, which we didn't know. At the time, it was my last day of 7th grade. I was on a field trip at a water park, having the time of my life.
With your water camera.
With my water camera, with the big plastic case around it. I have all the pictures. But and
we don't know why he did, though, right?
No, not officially.
That's still a question.
Yeah.
Hasn't he said multiple reasons that he picked her up?
He said a lot of things. He said that he never picked her up. He said that she never went to school that day. So
it's a big question mark, but
it's a big question mark.
But she definitely went to school that day because people saw her there.
Yeah, she went to school that day. Before she left, she popped into her boyfriend's shop class and popped her head and said, "See you later. My dad's picking me up early."
Yeah. And I'll see you at this party tonight. They were supposed to go to a party that night.
Yeah, they had plans to go to a party. Which I just found out about also. But yeah, she was expecting a party. She said bye to her boyfriend, and she was never seen again. My dad says that he picked her up. They went to lunch. They got in an argument. He went to go run errands, and then he came and picked me up from school. But yeah, it's hard to say because I wasn't interviewed until like 7 years after. So I don't remember the timeline. I just don't. I just know it was after 3:30, which is when school would get out.
Yeah.
But he wasn't there to pick me up, which wasn't abnormal. Like I just walked to a friend's house that I walked to almost every other day, you know.
Right.
It's one of those things. And I was smoking cigarettes and like a 12-year-old does, and we like sprayed each other with perfume before my dad came and picked me up. And the thing is, like, one of my only rules was like, you can't smoke cigarettes because my mother died of lung cancer. So I'm getting in the car and I'm like, I'm so busted.
I definitely smell like cigarettes.
So busted. Because you do, because you're 12. You just sprayed yourself with perfume. Like, you're an idiot.
Probably did. Yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't say anything.
And you thought that was weird even then?
I didn't realize it until older. Because again, I'm oblivious. I'm an oblivious person.
Well,
but you must have thought it was kind of like crazy that he didn't catch you. Like you must have felt like he got away with it and like, wow.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I was just like relieved, like let's never bring it up.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, I get in the car and he goes, oh, he hands me his cell phone. I don't have a cell phone at this point. Him and Alissa did. They had the Nokia bricks, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he hands me the cell phone. He goes, call your sister. She's not answering her phone. And so
why would you what?
Right.
Shouldn't you know, Dad, where she is?
Again, like, why are you involving me?
Yeah.
So, like, I'll get into that, right? But I feel like I was intentionally brought into the situation. Yes, exactly. Call your sister. She's not answering. I call, whatever. It goes to voicemail. I don't remember if I left her a voicemail or not. I don't know. We get to the house. I don't remember who enters the house first, but I enter her room first. Which now, like, okay, as a police officer, if your daughter is not home or you think something's up, like, aren't you going to enter the scene first?
Yes,
versus like
100%.
Send your 12-year-old in.
Yeah, and why would you, like, what? It seems so weird. Like,
Especially
he just like staggered behind you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. I just like go right to her room because I think it's just a normal day. I don't realize that this is like such an important day I should be taking note of.
Right.
And I go into her room and I notice that her backpack's dumped all over the ground, which normally she kept a really neat room. She was just a neat person, you know, compared to me. But yeah, the backpack was gone, but like nothing else. And then all of a sudden I hear her phone buzzing on her dresser. So her pink Nokia phone's up on her dresser and there's a note. And I don't know if I can read it verbatim, but it's like, Dad and Sarah, when you dropped me off at school today, I decided I really am going to California. Sarah, you wanted me gone. Look, now you have it. Dad, that's why I saved my money. I took $300 from you, Alissa. Yeah. Something to that effect.
Right.
So we thought she ran away to California. My dad panics immediately and says, you know, I think she's in trouble. And he starts calling friends and her boyfriend. And I'm like, whatever.
So your aunts are in California.
Yeah.
And she was talking, and your dad was talking with them about sending her out there because she was having behavioral problems, right?
Correct.
Okay. So had you heard her talk about going to California before out of her mouth?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you live in Arizona, every kid's dream is to run away to California because that's like where the beach is. That's where Disneyland is. Like, that's the dream. Like, get out of Arizona, go to California. And she'd like been like, I'm going to run away and leave, you know, like, and nothing serious. Yeah. Like, she'd never really left before.
Yeah.
So she never ran away prior?
No. I mean,
like,
my dad
actually physically left?
No. My dad says she did when she was little, like huffing down the street, like, you know,
that's not
bullshit like that. Yeah,
I ran away then.
Yeah. There you go.
I huffed down my street a couple times.
I definitely did.
Actually, I pounded the cement a couple times too. But yeah.
Yeah. But no, she didn't really have any history of it. And
did she say, like, I want to go to California? Have you heard her ever say that?
No, not really. I mean, maybe like move there when she gets older. But the plan wasn't to go with my aunt. Like, they had decided against it. Yeah. Because my dad did this all of our lives. He tried to give us away to like every family member he could. And then he'd always just like back out. But yeah, so there was no solid plan. They had talked about it, but he ends up calling and reporting her missing, I think at about 11 p.m. that night. And he's telling the family, like, oh my gosh, she's missing. Like, she's dead. Like, everything's happening. Like,
he said she's dead?
No, I mean, probably not that, but he's like freaking out, right? He's freaking out. He like wants to make flyers. He's like, Sarah, get on the computer and make me a flyer. Like, you know, this.
Get on the computer and make a flyer, like right away?
Yeah. I mean, like, he was like on it. Like, I made the website like really soon after. Like, we were on it. But he calls the police and says, oh, my 17-year-old daughter left a note. She ran away to California to go to her aunt's house.
Just automatically assumes that that's what happened.
Yeah, like it just reports it so casually while he's literally like freaking out to friends and family.
Because he wanted to like have the act for you guys that he was freaking out, but for them that he was very cool about it and wasn't worried about her.
That's what I think. Absolutely.
So this note that she left, it's quite possible that she wrote this another time. Like, she wrote this a different day and he had held on to it. Like, we're not even sure that it was done that day.
Correct.
How would you know? I mean,
Right.
Okay, I have some theories about the note.
Okay.
It was analyzed. It is her handwriting.
Okay.
The entire note is physically structured like the same way. Like she just had really neat handwriting. Like I always thought it was like really pretty handwriting. Yeah. You know, how you look up to your sisters and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
But it was like all perfect in line. And then the very last line when it says, "Dad, I took $300 from you, Alissa," it's all like off skew. She uses a capital A instead of a big lowercase a like she normally does. It's just off. It's just off. And I could be going crazy over it because that's like my MO right now, right? But the thing is about the $300 is she says, "Dad, that's why I saved my money." But her money was never touched.
Yeah, that's what's so weird. And she had what, like $1,800
in there.
You take your money with you.
You take your money.
You take your cell phone with you.
Especially if you're running away.
Yeah.
But if you know that person's never going to access your money, like why not say, "Dad, I took $300 from you." Oh, well, she took $300 cash. That's how she got out of here. Because you can't trace it.
Yeah.
But why even take the $300 if you didn't take the $1,800? And the bank was within walking distance. It was
that makes
literally
no sense.
like right across the street.
That makes no sense.
Like there's no
So
way.
that's fabricated probably.
Oh, I think that she was forced to write that part, at least that part. I think maybe he found that note.
Forced her?
Yeah.
To set everything. Oh,
well,
my God.
I think he found the note that was like, "I'm really going to California.
Yeah.
That's why I saved my money." Because
because she could have written it at some other time. She was mad at you or something.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Sarah, you want me gone, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah. And, you know, because we would fight. We would fight. She called me fat and I called her stupid.
Yeah,
we were
me and my
mean to
sister
each other.
like went crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we were cats, literally. So.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, but then we'd like braid hair and paint nails and do all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I think it could have been forced. I think he could have found that note and said, "Okay, you really want to run away?" And like maybe, I don't know, put a gun to her head or just threaten her and be like, "Write this." Because what do you do when you're 17? Like you're going to be scared. You're going to do whatever they say or you're going to fight.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I just think the note looks weird and
But you think she did
weird.
write it?
Yeah, I think it's her handwriting.
So you don't think he like took it and started writing it?
I don't think so. His handwriting is like notoriously awful.
I was going to say, it's really easy to spot like
Yeah.
someone with bad handwriting.
Yeah. I mean, that would have taken him a long time, I think. I think it was her handwriting, but I think it's definitely suspect.
Definitely.
So when you're coming home to the house and you're going in before him, does he already know she's gone, or is he already aware? Like, or isn't
he already
aware
knows
that she's gone?
Well, I'm sure in his head he already knows, yeah.
But he's pretending like he doesn't know.
No, he was saying like, "Your sister's missing, call her," remember?
He was like, she's not answering her phone.
Oh, right. Yeah. Duh. Sorry.
So I don't think he knows whether or not she is at home.
Missing, but yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
But he was so paranoid that in my mind, I think he would say, "This is a suspicious situation." Like he would be paranoid anyway. Like it was like the gunslinger, like gun on his hip into a Walmart, gun on his hip into the school. Like, why are you so cash when you think that somebody could be missing from your home?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're like so controlling of your daughter when she's gone, to not be freaking out. Most controlling parents would be like all over the place looking for them.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
absolutely freaking out. That doesn't add up at
Be
all.
out driving around. Like,
Yeah.
did he do
Looking
that?
for them. Yeah.
No, he just called people, friends and, stuff like that. But he, had me call and he had me go in the room first. And the note specifically talked about me and I found it and I found her cell phone and I kept her cell phone. Like, I swear it couldn't have been like more than a few days that he just handed me the cell phone and said, "Now it's yours."
What?
Which, like, don't you keep it like forever and hope
Yeah.
somebody calls that number?
Yes.
Why would he just give it to you?
And like he already knew she was
Once
gone
you
and
start
wouldn't
using
back.
it.
Because he already knew.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, and, that's that day, of course, we had video surveillance on, but nowhere to be found. That video does not exist.
Of course.
Of course.
Like the day she's missing. It's so annoying. But then remember he said he did have video and he like had reviewed it, but there was nothing
both.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first he said there was no footage, but then they caught him in that lie, and he said there is footage, but I've already checked it, so you guys don't need to, and wouldn't give it to the police.
Yeah.
So the police have never reviewed any footage. No one knows like exactly what she was wearing, what her temperament was when she left.
Right.
Like that would be so helpful, and you'd think of all the fucking days to record, you would be recording.
Yeah. And it was recording. And I say that because of this coincidence factor, right? Because, a week after she calls, supposedly. So there's this phone call that happens exactly a week later. And what's weird is that we have phone records that this phone call actually happened. A call was made from Riverside, California.
Right.
About a week later. And I think it was like 5 a.m. It was pretty early. And my entire life, for 30 plus years before I was born, there was a passive audio recording system on the phone. because my father was so litigious and paranoid. He recorded every phone call coming in and going out of the house. So the police have hundreds of hours of like Blockbuster and movie phone and all the things you'd call in the 90s.
Movie phone. Wow.
But yeah, so when it comes down to she called at 5 o'clock in the morning and she said some curse words at me and then she hung up, said to leave me alone. But that recording also doesn't exist.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Convenient.
Like seriously, if you've been having this recording system since before she's born, the one time you need it on, you don't have it on.
You just said it got deleted
or it got
what?
deleted.
No, he said it wasn't on.
Yeah, he said it wasn't on.
Oh, but it's on all the time.
24/7 my entire life. Like, because you'd go like turn it off. Like, because you're going to go like call your friend and, and say curse words and be cool.
Why wouldn't you have it on when you're waiting for a call from your missing daughter?
Exactly.
Who just ran away. You'd think you'd have your phone fucking ready to go.
Yeah. Well, and I confront him about that, right? And he's like, well, it just malfunctioned. And he's like, I didn't use star 69 or star 67 or whatever it is back then because I didn't think it would work long distance. And I'm like, so you knew she was calling long distance? And he's like, I didn't say that. And I'm like, oh,
you are so busted, dude.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you call that back? What a moron.
Well, he says, somebody called before then. So, or he says Alissa called, and the first thing he did was run to the nearest payphone to see if that's where she was at. But then he says, I didn't use star 67 or whatever because it was I didn't think it would work long distance. So which is it? So did you go to the local payphone, or did you think it was long distance? That's why I love him to be interviewed. Like, he just trips himself up so bad. Yeah. So bad.
And that's probably why he hasn't done any other than that one podcast. But
yeah.
Crazy.
That's a major slip up right there for sure. I mean, that raises some alarm bells a little bit. Like, really, dude?
So yeah.
And it's just all these things that lead up. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all these coincidences,
Makes
right?
sense. Yeah, all the coincidences. Yeah. So what's the actual story he tells the police then? That she just ran away?
Yeah. That she just ran away.
And hope she comes back, and the police are like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, he plays it up like, I was too hard on her, and I know I was harsh, and I drove her away, and it's my fault, and I'll never forgive myself.
Like a typical dad response to your kid, running away. It's like, I must have been too hard on him, and that's why they ran away.
Yeah.
It's a really good story. It's really sound as far as the reasoning, I guess.
But then, I mean, instantly when they reopened the case, I mean, it was maybe a month or so that he made me the contact person. So he dipped out right away, and I could tell, I thought he was just sad about it, and I was like, oh, of course I'll help. I understand, you're sick and you're old, and let me help you. And so I took it and ran with it. But it's really strange to give that to you. I think it was 18 at the time.
God.
Yeah.
Literally. This case is just so messed up.
It is.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was just put in so many positions to look what Sarah's doing. Sarah's involved. There's no way I can be guilty.
Yeah, totally. God, he used you a lot.
Yeah, he did.
He really did.
Yeah, clearly. God. So the police, when did they finally get a missing persons report going then?
Well, so that night, I mean, she was reported as a runaway.
Yeah.
But nobody came to the house. Nobody did anything.
Did they say they put out an alert for her? Or
no, they didn't do any of that. Heck no.
And I guess part of it was kind of that time back at that period of time in, the 90s or whatever. They weren't.
By the 90s, they should have been doing a better job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Amber Alerts were established back then, but my argument is, had one police officer, and I was telling you guys this earlier, had one police officer come to the house.
Just done some interviews.
Yeah, or even looked up and said, you have a camera, where's your footage?
Yeah.
Just a general welfare check would have raised some questions probably.
And they would have been like, oh my God, this guy.
Can we take a look at her room? And
anything.
Yeah, you'd think they would just do a basic report for a missing person, even if it's someone who was a runaway. Yeah. You'd think you'd still come and take some notes.
Right.
It's so odd. No one did anything. It's just all right, well, this ex-cop's got it taken care of, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, they probably didn't even know that. They probably didn't even know off the bat, unless he worked for that department
led
or something.
With that.
Yeah, I'm sure he told them oh yeah,
this is Michael Turney, ex-police officer.
Yeah.
It's I've already done the routine search of the house, and there's no signs of forced entry.
Oh,
and that's one thing that makes him a more likely suspect, is he knew exactly how to make someone look like they're missing and how to make yourself not seem sketchy.
Raise flags with the police
stuff and how to talk to the police and convince them of things.
Yeah, I mean, from the family's point of view, he was working hard at it. Like he made all these flyers and went crazy distributing them. And like we were like, no, like she's gonna come back. Like you need to chill out. Like because we all thought she just left and would be back. Like she was just sick of it and went to go be with a friend. She had spent a summer at my brother's house before. She'd never really run away, but she'd spent the summer away from my dad because they fought so hard. So we're like, maybe she'll just be back.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So did you ever think she really would come home?
Yeah.
I really thought one day she would?
Yeah. I thought she would have never left me. That was my head.
Because she probably wouldn't have.
No, she wouldn't have.
Or at
and
least
I know
make contact
that even more
with
now.
you.
Exactly.
I mean, that must have been weird for her to just not even try to make contact with you.
And that's what her friends say too, is there's no way she wouldn't have reached out to someone.
No,
And you also, at 17, you
Especially
need somebody.
now. Yeah, totally.
You need
And
somebody
now,
to live
like,
with. And,
she would not.
Yeah.
How do like if you think about that scenario for a second, how could she have gone to California without telling anybody, no money, started a new life? Who did she know there other than family,
Yeah,
that
no one.
would have been kept under wraps for all this time? I mean, it just doesn't, it's not possible. It's just not.
No, and the detective brought up a great point. Like, why not come back when your father goes to jail and say, like, now I'm safe. He's locked up. Like, here I am.
Yeah, and especially now seeing you go through all of this, like she wouldn't just let you go from pouring your heart out, trying your best for no reason.
No,
absolutely not. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, it's so hard because obviously when you were younger, it probably was easier. Like we said, you wrote a paper about her being on the beach sipping margaritas, and that probably is easier to think that way.
Yeah.
That's probably how I would have thought if I was younger.
Yeah.
You know?
I had all the hope. I mean, and there was a lot of guilt in not having hope. You know what I mean? Like, people would say, like, don't you just realize that she's dead? And I'm like, that's like, I thought it was so horrible.
Yeah.
To give up hope for her. But then when I realized it was my dad, then
it all made sense. Yeah.
But I remember, I mean, I was like 14 and one of Alyssa's friends, I was like in a record shop and she comes up to me and she just walks up to me and says, you know that your dad killed your sister, right?
The hell?
And I was like, ugh, like get away from me. Like,
yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. Like she came out and like apologized for that. She said she was like on some type of drug or something.
Whoops.
I think you kind of have to be like, good God.
But yeah, so like people had told me, but I couldn't believe it. Like I said, like I never, like they'd fought, and now I see that like obviously writing the rules of big poster boards is like emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
but
totally.
I didn't know that back then.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was being emotionally abused.
No, of course you don't.
No.
Most children of abuse don't know that they're in a bad situation.
No.
Yeah. So he's literally like reaching out to everybody, right? He reaches out to the National Center for Exploited Children. And he sue the phone company too?
Yeah, he sued the phone company and got the records. It was Quest back then, and they wouldn't give it to him, so he had to sue for it.
Wow.
So I mean, we know the phone call was made, right? But that could have been anybody. Like I could go down the street and pay somebody $10 to make a phone call at a certain time. Like it's not a big deal.
It doesn't really prove anything.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was going crazy. I mean, her face was on like a NASCAR, and like we went out to California, and it was a big deal, and he was like advocating for it, on the outside. And then we got a confession, and I think it was 2007 or 2008. There was a gentleman in Florida who confessed to murdering multiple women. Yeah.
Right. That's
Thomas Heimer, nicknamed Psycho.
Heimer,
yeah. That's what 2020 says. But
is that not even his real name? 2020 loves their names.
I don't know. No, I know his real name is Thomas Heimer, but I think his nickname's Psycho. Whatever.
Aren't all killers psychos pretty much?
Pretty much. He looks like a totally insane person. I'm sure he's killed many, but no. But they concluded that he didn't kill Alissa. He also said that he killed JC Dugard, who we know is alive.
Is alive. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and with your sister, he said that she was a heroin addict too.
Yeah,
and that made no sense. I mean, you can't hide a heroin addiction from your whole family. Like,
no,
especially at her age, going to high school and stuff. Like, no way.
Yeah, no. The detectives went out there. There were 2 detectives that worked this case for about 10 years, and they, in the very beginning when he confessed, went out there.
Florida,
yeah, and they were like, "No, you're gonna have to convince me that you know this girl." And he broke down. He's like, "Yeah, I guess it probably wasn't her. I just saw this picture in the USA Today." And,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think like some criminals get to this point where they just want to be the worst, most terrible person ever and have this horrible reputation. I'm a psycho. I'm a crazy fuck. And so like they want to add as many possible people to their record, and that's literally what it is. It comes down to like attention. Maybe they think they can get something from the police or reduce their sentence somehow. There's so many reasons for people to pretend they've killed somebody. It's really weird. I've seen that so much since I've started covering crimes. It's bizarre how many people will do that. So as a human, we need nutrients. And these days, it's actually very hard to get nutrients into our bodies because our food isn't always as fresh as it should be. It doesn't always have the amount of nutrients that it should when it's freshly cut. And then, they have to take it and bring it to the grocery store. And by then, it loses all the good stuff that you need. So even if you have a bunch of kale salads and drinks green smoothies, you're most likely not getting the essential nutrients that you need on a daily basis. This is where Ritual comes in handy. Ritual's essentials have the nutrients that most of us don't get enough from food, all in their clean, absorbable forms. No shady additives, no weird ingredients that can do more harm to your body than good. Just 2 easy to take capsules that provide 9 nutrients that you need to support a strong foundation for your overall health. I've been using Ritual for about a month, and I love how easy it makes taking my vitamins. It's all in one convenient capsule. This is a women's multivitamin, and from D3 to omega-3, Ritual's essential for women and helps fill in gaps in a woman's diet. What's so great about it and so important to me is their capsule has a no nausea design that makes it easy on an empty stomach. There's a mint tab in every bottle that keeps things fresh so you don't get any fishy aftertaste that you normally do when you take a fish oil. You can also get Ritual delivered. A subscription is easy to start and it's easy to snooze. It's only $1 a day to have the essential nutrients that your body needs delivered every month, no strings attached. Better health doesn't happen overnight, and right now Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Fill in the gaps of your diet with essentials for women, a small step that helps support a healthy foundation for your body. Visit ritual.com/mile to start your Ritual today. That's 10% off during your first 3 months at ritual.com/mile.
So if you're like me, you're pretty busy. I mean, I never have time to do all the errands that I need to do. And one of those things that I never seem to have time to do is go to the post office, just because of the time it takes to drive there and then wait in line and talk to somebody and finally drop off my packages. And because of the giant hassle of going to the post office and juggling all your packages, hoping not to drop and break anything, that's where stamps.com comes in. They are one of the most popular time-saving tools for small businesses. Stamps.com eliminates trips to the post office, as well as saving you money with discounts that you can't even get at the post office. So why would you go when you can save money and print your postage online? Whether you're a small office or a business like I am, where I'm sending packages to customers as well as fans, things like that, it can be a lot to juggle. And, I have a ton of packages or Amazon returns, all of us people shopping online these days, you got to ship that stuff back. And instead of having to go there and go through all that hassle, you can print out the postage at a discounted rate, often online on your computer. And right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. All you got to do is go to stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and then type in Mile Higher. That's stamps.com. Click on the microphone and enter code Mile Higher to take advantage of that offer.
So I was going to say, let's talk about a little bit about the police investigation for those 10 years, kind of leading up to present day. Like, do you know the extent of their investigation or what they did? Have they ever told you, like, how far did they go with investigating people?
They went really far. They talked to everyone they could find. Like, they were asking for, like, my friends that met Alissa one time. So there were 2 gentlemen, Summershoe and Anderson, that were on the case for about 10 years, right when the gentleman confessed.
Right.
And they just blew it wide open. I mean, I remember they came to our house. They were talking to my dad. They were getting Alyssa's
You really liked them too.
I did like them. I interviewed one for my school paper because I was an editor and I needed a police officer. And the other one is asking me my favorite movie and petting my dog and asking me how I'm doing in school and wishing me a happy birthday. And we were friends, man.
Yeah.
Did they ever ask you who you think, if foul play was involved, or did they never even get to that point?
Eventually they interviewed me. It was like 4 hours. It was really extensive. And they would, what they did was, and now I realize it's like a tactic they use, but they would come in, ask me questions, leave, come back and ask the same questions. And I was like, what the hell are they doing? Like, why are they asking me the same questions? It's so weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But now I know that's like a thing they do because they're trying to see if you change your story.
Oh, so they'll send multiple people in too?
No, it was just the 2 guys because they had developed such a rapport with me because we were friends. They came in, I gave them Alyssa's stuff. We were good friends.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they interviewed me. They asked, I mean, just everything. I don't know if they asked about like foul play. I think they were just trying to get a gauge of like what I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you weren't like against your dad at all at this point.
And I didn't think that they were investigating my dad because my dad let him into the house. My dad never sat down for an interview. He's never done a polygraph, but he let him into the house, right? And they're like talking over email and phone. So I never saw my dad as uncooperative until I realized that he didn't go down to the station to do like an official 4-hour interrogation like I got.
Yeah, seriously, because I feel like put him in that kind of situation, put him in the hot seat for a bit and see how he maybe starts melting a bit, like
which I can touch on. I actually got to learn a little bit about when he got arrested and they talked to him, but yeah, we're getting to that, right? So they do this investigation and they don't really come up with anything, and I'm the lead, and eventually they call and they say, hey, we have news about your sister. You want to come down to the station? And this is like my story here, you know, and I say, well, I have a Spanish test, you know, am I going to be back in time?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, no problem. Come on down. And so me and my boyfriend at the time go down and we're waiting in, you know, the room for 30 minutes or whatever. And we're like, come on, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get the Spanish test. Like, I hate this professor.
Like stressing
so
out.
mean.
Yeah.
I'm like texting the girl like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me. I'm going to get an F. And they call me back and it's like, you know, whatever. Like I've been down there
Just
plenty of
normal,
times. Yeah. Like, you know, you want a Coke? I'm like, no, I'm good. I got to get to class.
This is going to be quick, right?
Yeah,
like,
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be super quick.
Yeah.
And they sit me down and they say, listen, we don't have any news about your sister. Your father's in custody. He's been arrested. We believe that he's involved. We know that he's been sexually abusing Alissa for almost her whole life. And we believe that he killed her. You also have another sister you don't know about that your father never claimed.
What?
How do you feel about your dad now? Or what do you think of your dad now?
Wow.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
You have another sister?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to show you a picture after.
Oh my God.
I don't want to like it, you know, I understand that she doesn't want to be involved.
You don't need to reveal.
Like,
Right.
But it's definitely, it's definitely my father's child.
Wow.
So they sit me down and they try to scare me and shock me into it. And my exact words were, am I free to go? I need to call my brothers. Because I was terrified. I was really concerned about my dad. Like, oh my gosh, like how could this be happening? I can't believe this. You know, this is insane.
You didn't believe at all that he could have done anything.
No, at this point, no.
Brainwashed.
Totally. Absolutely. I would have had I had no idea. So I call my brothers, whatever. I go 90 miles an hour down the freeway trying to get home. And I get to my block and it's full of cars and helicopters. And I park at the very end and I walk down and they're like, you can't come in yet. So I sit on the curb and I wait. And I remember I'm smoking a cigarette with my boyfriend and I'm at the end of my cigarette and I'm like freaking out because I don't know where to put the butt. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I throw it in the street, they're going to like tackle me for like littering. Like at this point, I'm just like, you know, I don't know where my mind's
hate
at.
my family.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I'm going to die.
Freaked out.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. When really they're like getting pizzas delivered to the SWAT van and stuff. Like they're like so cash. But yeah, eventually they let me go in and, you know, we have our own tiff inside the house, which is fine. I'm calm until I realized, like I was telling you, that they told me that I have no third dog and that my dog never existed and that they never saw it. And so like I'm just crying and I'm a mess.
Where's my dog? Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I don't need my dad back, but I need my dog. And you know, it was a really awful day.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Totally traumatic.
Never made it to Spanish.
I can imagine.
No, literally for finals, my teachers were so nice because it was 2 weeks before Christmas. Like it was right before Christmas.
I'm so glad you're I was going to ask, like, did you fail the math? Did you fail the Spanish test?
I know. No, she was so nice. Well, it was all over the news. So at this point, I'm thinking they just arrested him because they think that he killed my sister. They're trying to get DNA. Yeah. Because he would never submit DNA either. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Which is weird. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, this is like so crazy. This is the worst day of my life. And I'm crying and I get I get to my brother's house. You know what? I found my dog. Let's just acknowledge that, right?
Yeah, right.
Thank goodness.
The dog was found.
I found him and I, you know, triage and go to my brother's house and we were watching the news and we realized the neighborhood's been evacuated because they find the largest pipe bomb and illegal gun stash in Phoenix history.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, like 26 pipe bombs that were like right by my head, apparently. I mean, not in my room, because my room was like an isolated apartment at this point.
Yeah. Right. And you were in the master bedroom.
I was in the master
bedroom. Which is
bedroom.
Another weird thing. Her dad put her in the master bedroom.
Yeah.
For what reason even?
Well,
You were telling me.
Yeah, because well, right after Alissa was gone, he said, I don't want you walking around in a towel and CPS coming in here and thinking I'm molesting all my kids. So you go ahead and have the master bedroom. And I'm like,
so weird.
Yeah. When I'm like 12, so I'm like, master bedroom, like, is all I hear. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, hell
sure.
yeah.
Like,
I would have loved that as a kid.
Yeah, like my dad's just the coolest. He's even cooler
giving me
now.
a master
Holy
bedroom.
shit. Yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm like totally isolated in the master bedroom. So like, and I have my own entrance in and out of the house. We have this patio door.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
like, and when I would go through the house, it was like, hi dad, like straight to my room, like me and all my friends. Cause my room was the party room.
You kind of had like an apartment.
Yeah. I had a fridge, I had a couch. I had beer in the fridge. I was, you know,
Yeah, it was lit.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was so different for Alissa.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can dive deep into that. When Alissa was a teenager, she did really, really normal stuff. She was such a good kid. Like she babysat on the side and she was just a kind person. Like she loved like writing notes to people with like stickers, like Blue's Clues and, you know, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So she was really cute. And then, yeah, she'd go out and have drinks and she'd go smoke pot and whatever, man. And my dad just laid down the hammer on her. Like all the rules, all the curfews, had to be home at this time, like isolated her from like every best friend she ever had.
There's a reason for that.
Exactly.
You don't do that even if you're just strict. Like that's like another level.
The isolation especially.
Yeah. To the point they were like writing letters and they lived, you know, miles away. Like they couldn't even talk on the phone because of the recording system. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, she was just under his thumb, everything.
And, you know, maybe he just like wanted to keep an eye on her because he was worried she would say something about him or she would out him for something.
And because he was sexually obsessed with her. He didn't like seeing her with other guys.
Yeah, that's clearly, honestly crazy.
Yeah. So even like when I spoke with him, he said that my mother and Alissa were promiscuous, like grouped her in the same way. Like,
what?
Like, it's so gross. Like, he's like, she just wanted to go run around town like your mom did. And it's like, excuse me. Like,
that is so inappropriate. Who says that?
Exactly. Yeah. So he like
replaced her, like your mother with her.
And my whole life, your sister looks so much like your mom. Your sister looks so much like your mom. You look so much more like me. Oh, it was like a known thing, you know, and she does. She looks a lot like our mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were treated totally differently. I think she was seen as like a sexual object, and obviously she was being abused. You know, she reported being taken out.
You can tell from that video from '97 that something's
it's so obvious when you see it.
Well, and now I realize that she was more sexually mature than she should have been. You know, there was an instance where I was really little. I mean, I was probably like 8 or 9, and Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry, they used to have this cheerleading bit.
Yes,
and
of course.
And they would say, sex can wait, masturbate.
Yeah, sex,
you know?
totally.
And so we
didn't
have cable. So like Saturday Night Live was life.
Yeah.
And so she goes, Sarah, go up to dad and say, sex can wait, masturbate. You know, like she knew what it meant. I had no freaking idea. So I go up to my dad and I say, and he's like, Alissa, you know, and just freaks out. But it's, you know, I think to me it shows that she was, you know, sexually mature.
She knew some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I didn't even know what masturbation was. Like, give me a break.
And so many kids that get sexually abused feel some type of shame or like they feel like guilty for partaking in it or not telling people enough and stuff. So they will keep it more quiet. But she did tell so many people. It's so crazy. And just going back on that teacher, we didn't fully like finish that up. This teacher that she told, eventually just went to Michael and said, you know, here's what she said. What do you think? And he was like, oh, whatever. She's just saying stuff basically.
Yeah.
And she just let it go. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, so many people could have helped.
There's so many flags being thrown. Like,
do you still, have you seen her at all?
She actually passed away. I was told a few years ago. Yeah. Wow. But she was interviewed by the police before that. So yeah, that's where they got all that information.
Yeah. That's wild, man.
But yeah, I mean, you know, the police did a very thorough investigation and talked to everybody. Yeah. Including that teacher from, 4th grade or whatever Alissa was in.
And I just can't believe they never brought him in and forced him to have a polygraph or an interview, a formal interview at the station. Like,
they say he's invoked some type of rights that he doesn't have to. I'm like, where was that when you interrogated me for 5 hours?
Yeah,
or whatever?
what
like,
rights?
What? Yeah, they're like, no, he's. I think you know the right to remain silent. But I'm like, does that really apply?
The Fifth Amendment.
But if they suspect him of a crime, they have probable cause to.
They can't force you to take a polygraph.
I guess not a polygraph. Yeah.
they'd have to have enough evidence to charge him with murder and
you'd have
take
to be
him
charged
in. But
with something.
everything else, until you're
suspect.
charged, they can't make you do anything.
And I guess they really, at that point, had really no evidence to suggest that he had done anything or was.
And all circumstantial.
It was all circumstantial, right?
Yeah,
right.
I think they knew right away when they started looking at this. They were like,
yeah, something's weird.
Yeah, because all they did was talk to the family and other people that we knew. They weren't really going out beyond that.
Yeah.
You know? So I think they knew pretty
quickly.
Yeah, they knew right away.
They didn't do any investigation in California or anything to, like,
no.
Because they were like, no, there's no way. Like,
no.
We would know if she was there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they like ran her social security number and stuff to see if it was used. But no, they didn't focus on California.
Yeah. So it gets even crazier though.
It does.
Because, then your father is involved in.
Yeah. Okay. So that's probably the next chunk, right?
Yeah.
Would be like the union episode.
Okay. Yeah, we can go into the union.
And hang on real fast, but I just want to say that I want to know what you guys think about this whole story being turned into like a TV show, because
like a documentary,
yeah,
a miniseries or something.
Because Sarah and I have tried. We actually did work with a TV company. I won't say who, but it didn't go so well. We're not sure. But, we're still going to try. And I really think that like these things could be like straight up episodes. It's so crazy. And this whole section we're about to get into could be a whole podcast. Like, it's really wild.
Yeah. No, I told you, like, it's so hard to stay in chronological order. It's so hard because there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
Well, things tie to everything.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're good. Hopefully you guys are understanding. I'm understanding.
Because there's so many dots to connect in this that you have to go back and forward to really understand it. And paint the whole picture.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason that we need to segue into the union, right, is because of the bombs.
Yeah.
So they,
exactly.
They find the bombs.
So what's up with the bombs? Yeah.
Yeah. They find the bombs. They find the guns. And they find a manifesto. It's like 90 something pages. And it's called the Diary of a Madman Martyr.
That's what he called it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how he sees himself.
Oh my God.
Madman murder.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
have you ever read that? Have you seen it?
I've seen it. So he'd been like typing it for a large chunk of my life, but he was just like, I'm writing my life story. So I was like, I don't care.
Right.
Like I heard all these stories growing up. Like I could care less. I'm not going to read this
Whatever,
thing.
dude.
Yeah. But what they do is when they find the bombs, they find a safe. And inside the safe, they find like multiple copies of this manifesto, pre-addressed and pre-stamped to go to media companies. It's like NBC, ABC, whatever.
Wow.
And inside of that, they find like a disguise. They find a wig and a mustache, and they find 2 social security cards, which we can get into, right? So,
sorry, just hit the table.
At least I didn't do it.
True.
In the manifesto, he says, that this union, he was an electrician for a long time, and he was a part of the electrical union, this one sect of it, whatever. And he says that he's been harassed his whole life and bullied, and that they tried to kill him. And it's hard. It's up in the air, right? Like my brothers were little and say, oh, I remember that. But like, really? I don't know. I don't know.
Was it to the extent? Were they just picking on him?
Exactly. Like, was he just feeling upset? Was he just a little emotional about it? Probably. I don't think it goes as crazy as he says.
Yeah.
But whatever. He has this beef with people at work. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
That turns into this like 30-year obsession, to
Never
everything. Yeah. Like he could like buzzed by an outlet and be like, it was the union. Like they're coming through. Like I could see that. But yeah, so he's obsessed. And in the manifesto, they see that he planned on using the bombs to kill them, to go into this union building, this one particular building. He had a van supposedly filled with bombs that he was going to drive in, and he says kill himself. But then he also has this like disguise and these like alternate identities for possible escape.
Yeah, just in case he chickens out or something.
Yeah, and so what's funny about that, right, is and none of it's funny. It's horrible, but
right?
Yeah. What's funny about that is the Social Security cards are of 2 gentlemen that actually work for the union. Or I'm sorry, I think it was 1 Social Security card. But the gentleman worked for the union, and then the name was very close. It was like off. I think one was Gary Wayne Morissette, and the other was Gary Wayne Morissetti, like whatever the real name was and whatever the Social Security card was.
Gotcha.
It was that close.
Wow.
But the gentleman actually worked for the union and was one of the guys that my dad said he killed. So my dad said that, part of this whole union plot was that the union also killed Alissa. He doesn't say this now, but at one point he told this story. The union killed Alissa, these 2 guys. And
to get back at him.
Yeah. And I went and killed them and buried them in Desert Center, California, which is where Desert Center, California comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like, whatever, you're full of crap. They look it up and find that these 2 guys died of natural causes, but then they go in the safe and they find the Social Security card.
Yeah.
So it's like so
How do you get
bizarre.
that?
I don't know. He also had like fake licenses. He has like a private investigator ID. Like,
So he might have actually killed that guy?
no, they don't think he killed him, but he like stole his identity because he was dead, we think. And he like, because he had the disguise, he had the
Wow.
manifestos. So we think that he was going to try to leave and start a new life. As
Wow.
opposed to killing himself like the
Yeah.
madman martyr
Right.
he says
Yeah,
he
he's-
is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
God.
So that's what the bombs were
insane.
for, yeah. Was
Oh my
to kill the
gosh.
Union. Were apparently in the house the whole time.
And they were like the real deal. Like they could be exploded and everything. It wasn't like they were not
Some
made
bullshit.
correctly or something. Yeah, some
Yeah.
like janky bullshit. Like he actually researched it and he made them. Is that
That's my understanding. I'm like too afraid to Google pipe bombs because
Yeah.
I think they're gonna like come find me
Sure.
or something. Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
literally like scared of it.
Yeah.
But no, apparently they were like large with. I was told it was like roofing nails, which I assume
so
are
that shrapnel
larger.
in it and stuff? Yeah.
I don't. Oh yes, I've heard that term before. Yes,
Shrapnel,
it had
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's like
I try to stay
explosive.
away from that because it's
Yeah.
just I don't like it. It's put a bad taste in
Probably
my
gives
mouth.
you anxiety, totally.
Yeah, but
Thinking
look,
of what it could have happened.
And it reminds
Yeah.
you of like other events too, where pipe bombs have been used, like Columbine is an example,
Yeah.
or even the Boston bombings,
Yeah, I
they
was
had like
gonna
the
say
pressure
Boston
cookers with shrapnel in it, and
yeah.
it's really terrible what
It's
those
scary.
do.
Scary. It's of
Very
course
scary.
frightening. Yeah.
Yeah, when he still has no remorse. I was telling you,
Yeah.
I spoke to him and no remorse.
Mm-mm.
He
Doesn't care at all.
no.
Because he thinks he was like doing the right thing, probably
Oh
in
yeah,
his mind. Like
He's a
I gotta
martyr.
take-
he's a martyr.
I got to take this union down for the sake of
Humanity.
Yeah, he's the whistleblower in this
Right.
world full of corruption and injustice.
And everyone's out to get him. He's like super fucking paranoid for no reason.
yeah, everyone's out to get him. That's what we always said. Like our teachers, the school district, even like coming down to like if you got wrong change at the grocery store, like that girl's always looked at me weird. Like it's just
It's
always
always
Wow.
something,
Someone's
yeah.
like personally.
Yeah.
So when people actually did bullying him or whatever happened, he took it that much further.
yeah. Well, and he's a macho man, and he's used to getting his way and strong arming people, and he's used to being the smartest guy in the room, and he's very intelligent.
Yeah.
I was going to
So,
say
yeah.
that he's 100% intelligent.
Yeah,
Like,
he definitely is.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes,
Unfortunately.
yes.
God, no, it's just crazy that happened. I mean, how were you feeling at this time, like when this was all going down?
Oh gosh, I didn't know. I mean, so when this happened, I took over everything. Like I took power of attorney over all of his assets.
Wow.
I took over the mortgage. I took over the house.
Because he's in jail.
Yeah. So he got arrested, of course, right
Right.
away, and wasn't let out until his trial.
I was going to say, did he bond out? Probably not.
No, what's funny is I was going to, it was $20,000 and I had it saved up for college. And I was like, I'm doing it right now. And then literally we saw on the news, they upped the bail.
Oh, wow.
They upped the bail like right then and there.
Good.
And we were like, oh, like, of
I was
course
gonna
I was
say
like, oh, man,
20,000, that's
time.
it?
Yeah, it was only 20,000 and they upped it to like 100. But no,
Yeah.
I was going to go bail him out with my own money.
What do you think would have happened if you had bailed him out? Do you think he would
Oh.
have ran or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
probably
think he
would've.
definitely would have run. I think, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't
I bet
care.
would've. God, thank God you didn't.
I know. No, thank goodness. Seriously.
Wow.
I'm so happy I didn't. But I didn't know. Like I said, like, when he got arrested, we all went to my brother's house and he
Wow.
calls like 48 hours later and my brother answers the phone and the first thing he says is, oh my gosh, let me give it to Sarah. Because they know
Yeah.
I'm freaking out because I've never been away from him for that long. And I was taking care of him and taking care of the house. And like,
Yeah.
I was the youngest, but I was like the matriarch of the family
Yeah,
at that point. I was making
totally.
Thanksgiving. Like
Mhm.
that was me. Like,
Wow.
You had to really step up like
Totally.
during this time. And
well, I mean, I didn't have to. My dad was like, you want Thanksgiving? Make it. And I was like, well, I want Thanksgiving.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so I mean, I could have been like, nah, I'm good. But
Yeah.
right.
But no, I was telling you, like wrapping my own Christmas presents and stuff. Like it
Yeah.
was sad. Like I
Yeah.
didn't think so back then, but like
Yeah, it's really
but that's sad. But
Yeah.
that's okay. But it just shows like how attached I was to him too, like with the phone and. But yeah, I mean, I was devastated. It broke my heart, and I acted as his legal secretary like immediately.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say,
You
what
did
was
a
his
ton of
legal?
work. She ran a website.
Yeah, I
for
started
him.
a website, started a petition. I fought for him. Like I fight for Alissa because I really thought it was an injustice.
Yeah.
I really did. And he'd have me file things with the court. And mind you, he told me that these bombs were planted, which I believe. At
Gotcha.
this point,
Gotcha.
I'm not just like, oh, you have all
Somebody's
these bombs,
framing
you're going
me.
to kill people, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
weren't like
help you.
defending. Yeah, you thought he was being set up, staged. The whole
Yeah.
thing's bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then slowly but surely, I realized the truth after everyone in my family does.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took
And
a long time.
It was kind of like, so when did 2020 happen?
So that was less than a year after he got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, they jumped right on it.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you? I think that'd be interesting to people. What is it like behind the scenes filming a 2020 episode?
Oh, it's fake. It's super
I'm
fake.
sure it is.
I mean, just what was hard for me is I didn't realize that they were playing me the whole time, right? Like they know my dad did this. Like,
yeah. But they want to keep up the act that maybe he didn't.
Yeah. So they're, look across the street and look sad and look at this. And like, I was told to look sad so many times. And it's just, yeah, it's
Take
laughable.
2, look sad.
Exactly.
Look sadder, please.
Yeah.
Go to the computer and pretend you're working on the website. Like, which I get, like some of it's drama and I get, like, you need to make these scenes. I understand. But yeah, it's fake. And, you see John Quijones on there and I never talked to that guy. Like I'm like in a shady hotel room talking to a producer with like mass lights on. They're like, hold up. They literally printed posters for me and my whole family. Like, hold it up and say something. And you're like, like, so you see me at the end, I'm like, I just want my big sister. Like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's weird.
I was really upset when it came out, of course. But
because they kind of went after your dad.
Yeah, they went after my dad, and they didn't frame it that way, right? They come, and they say, we want to give you exposure for your sister. Like, tell your side of the story.
Yeah,
sure.
And I'm like, okay, all of 19 or whatever I am. Like, this is great. I can't wait. And my brothers are like, I don't know, kid. They go on with me, and they like appease me. 2 of my brothers are on there with me. Yeah. One is with me fighting for my dad, and the other goes on there is like, I don't know. My dad's, I think it says one family member's not so sure, or something like that. And I was upset when it came out. I was upset at my brother. I was upset at the whole production. I thought that they'd really screwed me over. Like,
I'm sure you were fucking pissed.
They would never talk to me. Like they never talked to me again. Like I asked for a copy. They stopped responding to my emails.
I'm sure.
Like just like
cut her out.
Yeah, no, exactly.
These big networks, honestly,
they're
like,
savages,
use people.
Man. They're savages. I've learned that even trying to get into this TV world. Me and you just
Well,
it's all business.
Savage.
I try to go to them for updates and stuff, and eventually they like read my email and they put a little snippet in the end and they say Sarah's not so sure that her father's innocent anymore. So like that's at the end now, which is nice. But yeah, it wasn't a great experience, but it was also the time and like I'm thankful for all media opportunities. I really am. Even then,
of course,
like I understand it's part of the game. Like
still
you have to get what you
there.
get. Yeah. Right. But it was a hard time, and I didn't believe it right away. They went on and they told all the truth, and the whole family found out for the first time that she was taken out of school early that day.
Wow,
like, we never knew, but that didn't register with me right away. I had to watch it. I mean, 12 times, 15 times before to catch everything. Yeah. Well, and then it was mostly the internet community, right? It wasn't just 2020 saying your dad's a bad person. It was 1,000 people online saying, "How are you so stupid?"
Yeah,
and believe
coming to your website.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
my God. You poor thing. Yeah. It's been so stressful.
And aunts coming out and saying it. But then there's this whole other side that you don't see of people supporting him and the closest people to him supporting him.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me going. Because they're like, no, like, you know your dad. Like, he would have never done that. I'm like, you get it. Like, friends, family, like, neighbors. Like,
of course he wouldn't.
Yeah. Like, when he was arrested, the neighbors come out and were like, oh, my gosh, he was the nicest guy.
Yeah.
It's hard. But eventually I came around, and it took a long time, and it took some support from people around me that I trusted to be like, yeah, kid.
Do you remember like the moment that you finally switched to the other side?
I think I looked at my boyfriend I was telling you, and, I said, do you think my dad killed her? And he goes, yeah, he did. And I was like, shit. Wow. Shit. And at that time I had found a map that I mailed to the police, and my boyfriend's like, listen, I looked up the latitude and longitude, and this is like in the middle of the desert. And
so it was a map and it had a mark on it.
It had a few. Yeah, it had a few different marks. It was of California.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I gave that to the police, and never saw it again, and they like won't release it. I don't know what's going on with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it shows anything. I still don't think her body's in California.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of hard to do that and then get back.
Yeah. But at that point, I'd find stuff, and like it was like hot potato. Like I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to see it. Like I didn't know what to do with it. I would just give it to the police and like let them analyze that. Like because I was so wishy-washy. Yeah, it is their job.
It's not your job to solve this, really. Yeah. I mean, it's theirs.
I mean, now it's my job to solve this, right? But back then,
when they fail, I mean, it's back on you. But
the 2 detectives did a wonderful job. But I was very much like, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. You analyze it. You're the professional. I'm too biased. Like, because I just wanted to know the truth. Like, when I finally came around, it wasn't like I have to pick. It was like, oh my gosh, like really? Like, and when I knew for sure, it just clicked in my head. And I called him. He was still in prison. And I was like, listen, we were still regularly talking. He'd call and ask about the dogs and, life. And I'd ask him life advice. And I was like, listen, like, I don't know what to think anymore. Like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and he just like blew it off and danced around the topic. But I was upfront with him right away. And then when he got out, when I realized that he like wasn't being recorded, I mean, I recorded him, but when we, you know, when he didn't think he was being monitored by prison guards or police, and he said some crazy stuff.
So you have that?
I have the whole recording. The whole thing hasn't been released. There's some clips on YouTube about his statements, his near confessions, I call them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, when I sat down with him, it was insane. He played it up so hard. You know, we recently found out that he's 70 years old and he was evaluated as having the physique of a 45-year-old. But when I met him, he's like walking up with a cane.
Like when he was in jail.
Oh no, after. No, when I sat down with him at the Starbucks, he walked from his extended stay motel. And I know I like to jab at him every chance I get. I'm a jerk. It's fine. He walks up with his cane and he like tries to look so sad and he's like, I'm so glad that we're gonna reconcile. And I'm like, no,
we're not.
That's not what this is here. Like, and I told you that on the phone. Like, like I didn't hug him. Like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh. Like, and this is the first time seeing him after 10 years of him being in prison, right?
Right. What was his sentence for the bombs and stuff?
He got the maximum, 10 years.
Right.
10 years. Yeah. Thank goodness. I mean,
and he completed all 10 years.
I think so. With like time, he might have gotten like a 1 year off for like good behavior. So I don't think he served all 10, but you know,
close.
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close.
Where was he imprisoned at?
So he was in Florence, Arizona for a while. And then he like moved to Pennsylvania. He said he got in trouble and moved, but I don't know the real story behind that. He was like he had so much drama in prison. It was unreal.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure he has some stories from that.
Well, he went around telling people he was a police officer.
What?
Yeah, because he's an idiot.
Oh my God.
Moron.
Well, I mean, he's not an idiot, right? He knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like clout for him, right? He's like, well, I was a police officer. Like, don't want to mess with me.
Yeah. I'm a bad cop. Like, kind of like that.
Versus being a child molester, which we know what happens to child molesters in prison.
You don't do so well. Totally.
Yeah.
Trying to pump up his image a little bit.
Yeah, when he'd like help people in prison with their legal cases, and he played in the prison band, and
prison band. They got bands in prison.
Oh, he's like Jodi Arias over there with our singing competition. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was hamming it up.
Jeez. Did you feel like he was changed after prison? Like, did it change him at all?
No, he came out exactly the same person.
Wow.
I mean, he probably like knows like better tricks of the trade now.
Yeah, he probably picked up a few things in there.
I'm sure.
Because like some people come out of prison and they're completely, I mean, they're changed, but in like a negative way most times. You know, like they're never the same because of something that happens in there. But it seems like he came out, exactly the same as the day he went in. Yeah, me and my brothers talk about it. Like we just like hit pause when he was in prison. He came out, it was exactly the same rambling, same bullshit, same stories.
Wow.
Like didn't even faze him at all.
No. Well, no, and it's like not like I don't know. He doesn't act like he just spent 10 years in prison for a bomb, like massive murder bomb plot.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
He's like coming out like he's a freaking angel.
What the hell?
That was wrongly,
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
everything happens to him.
Falsely accused and imprisoned for something he didn't do. So he maintains his innocence still.
Yeah, he's just an innocent stepdad. You know, all stepdads get accused of molesting their stepdaughters.
No.
Sorry, bro. That doesn't work.
No, but that's how. And I don't think he sees himself. He knows what he did. He knows what he did.
Yeah.
But he likes to portray that. And I think for him, his ego and image is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything to him.
Yeah.
Clearly. I mean, throughout, you can just look at his whole life and everything he's done. I mean, to like hooking up with the teacher and stuff. Like, he's been, you know, Mr. Macho Man for his whole life. And he's used that to his advantage and taken advantage of others and control over others.
Oh, yeah.
And just
so do you want to play some of that audio?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, no, we should hear some of it.
What do you want to play?
Anything you want.
I just talked to Mike a few minutes ago. He was relating to what they're upset with, that they don't have someone for their children to play catch with. That's what they're expecting like they had when they were kids. Well, I'm not disheartening to believe that my own children would actually believe that I would kill one of my own kids. Well, that's the only thing it's really... I thought you guys knew me better than that. One opportunity I had to kill somebody that I probably could kill now. And I thought about that split second when I chose not to kill him after he shot his wife, my brother. Only because he was king. not within my demeanor. Killing other people, you learn that in the military. That's the way that works.
Okay.
But Alissa, you guys got it all wrong.
Why are there so many things you didn't tell us?
Like, sir, we went through this before. I don't have the answer for all the. James said something about he saw me with 2 bags. Somebody said they saw me with 2 bags of lime in the back of the truck. I've always had lime, sir.
I don't.
I told you that when you said you had an ant problem. I said you can get green light or whatever it's called, or you can just get a bag of lime.
Hold on, I'm gonna need my coffee for this. Let me grab my coffee. I'll be right back.
Don't blame you.
He's still talking.
I'll be right back.
You want to set someplace else?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just need my coffee.
I just need my coffee.
So I found out something interesting yesterday.
What's that?
That you had some type of duplicate truck.
I had what?
You had 2 trucks. You had 2 GMC Sierras. One was 1 year newer than the other.
Really? Now that's a new one to me.
Well,
Where's it at? I could use it now. We traded for a nice motorized bicycle.
well, apparently you sold it, but they found it in Nevada or something. So you didn't have another truck?
No,
You only had the one white truck?
that's all I had. You were there when I bought it.
I know. But now I think, like, why'd you sell the green truck so quick? The frog? It was like the Toyota Tacoma, the one that looked plastic. It looked like a matchbox.
Probably because of the amount of mileage I was going to put on it, and I didn't think that Nissan could handle it. It was starting to fall apart, and I had a lot of miles to cover.
That thing was new. That was like our only new vehicle ever, besides the GMC. That was our first new vehicle.
Ah, sir, we bought a brand new Toyota. We bought a brand new Dodge truck. We bought another Dodge truck.
The old brown Dodge truck?
No, these were brand new stuff. I mean, I bought a lot of new vehicles. I bought like 5 of them.
It, like my
So you just
timeline.
learned that I had a new vehicle.
That's what somebody told me, so that's why I'm asking. What am I supposed to do? Not ask?
Just, that's fine. Ask what you want. It's what this meeting's about. You ask what you want. If it'll do you some good, that's all I give a rat's ass about. I don't care. Like you, I didn't want to come here. I don't want to look at my daughter who thinks I'm the biggest monster on the planet. It doesn't make me feel any better.
Well, it doesn't make me feel any better.
But
That everybody's like nervous for me to come here, and I'm like, it's fine. I'm not scared.
scared of what? Me?
Yeah, I'm not scared of you.
Sir, if you were shooting at me, I couldn't shoot back at you.
I'm just
I
saying.
love you. You're my daughter.
I know, and I don't. Yes, and I don't think you'd hurt me. I told him that I wish he would. I wish he would, so he'd get caught.
Get caught.
You're badass.
What am I supposed to do? It looks really bad. It looks super suspicious. It does.
Human behavior always looks suspicious, Sarah.
No.
That's the difference between good investigations and poor ones.
Exactly, and yours was shit.
CNN ran with a bunch of information that came from those 2 assholes that fabricated a affidavit for a search warrant so they could search the house.
I'm not even talking about 2020.
Not because they knew they were going to find anything. He knew he wasn't going to find anything. I gave him everything I had. He did that because he was pissed off because I told him, you know what? I thought you 2 guys were maybe the new breed of Phoenix police officers. But you're a bunch of lying at. You're sitting here running around in rabbit hole chasing shit, and you're looking in the wrong direction, shit for brains. You know how much time they spent with Paul Abbott, Sarah?
And he was cleared.
He wasn't clear.
Yes, he was.
Who gave Alissa the ride to California, Sarah?
No one, because she didn't take her money. She didn't make it to California. Or she did, not alive.
Okay, then who made the phone call? Was that just a ghost?
I can't tell you who made the phone call, but I bet you it wasn't Alissa.
You already bought all that stuff, didn't you?
Dad, what am I supposed to believe?
Well, I assume you look at the facts then. Then you got to go back to the other one, Sarah. Somehow I coerced your sister into writing this runaway note. What's the
No, you didn't. No, the runaway note's from a whole different day, from a whole different conversation. Dad, when you dropped me off at school today, I decided I really am going to run away. That wouldn't make sense if you picked her up and took her out for lunch.
Yeah.
Why would she make that decision at school that day? Why wouldn't she make it after our argument at lunch? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Do you know why I picked her up, Sarah? Do you really know why?
Why?
Because she was breaking up with John. She was seeing Mike. That's what one of the videos of was her making out with Mike.
That's why she popped her head into John's class and said, bye, see you later. Before she left?
Maybe John's lying, Sarah. Why did she give me the necklace and ask me to break up with the son of a bitch when I told her, listen, I'll stand there with you. But you need to learn to not be afraid just because he's got a bad temper or his dad threatens to shoot everybody. That's the way my damn brother is. You don't have to put up with his shit. Did you go talk to any of her friends?
Of who?
Her friends that she knew at school, not those other idiots, the ones that she talked to at school. Did you go talk to them?
Like who? She didn't have a lot of friends at PB, like Jake or like Chris Ridenauer.
It was about 11 or 12 people, I think it was. Maybe it was longer than that signed her yearbook, Sarah. I got their phone. In fact, John's the one that wrote down the list.
Well, it would be lovely if I had her yearbook, but those aren't things we have anymore.
Where are they?
The police have them.
Okay. Well, I went through and went and talked to them. Okay. And the biggest thing they were upset with was how John talked down to her and said that Alissa was tired of him.
Okay, so do you think it was Paul? Do you think it was John? Do you think it was this guy Mike? What's your theory?
Mike's dead. His mother said he died of some kind of stomach problems whenever I started looking to see if he knew what was going on. I was at the time looking for someone who gave her the ride. Okay? That was Alissa that called. Whether you guys want to believe it or not, I don't really give a shit. I know what she was. I mean, I was really tired and exhausted and may have done the stupid thing by getting up and running down to the corner thinking she was down at the corner because that's what's fixed in my mind. And then asshole shit for brains Lyle calls in the morning like he usually does about the same damn time and left a message. Therefore, star 69 is not going to work. But it might not even work anyway because it turned out to be a long distance phone call.
I'm pretty sure it works long distance. You would know that.
I don't know, Sarah. I don't really remember all the super details, but I do remember that they're called.
Yeah.
I don't know, what are you guys looking for? Is this another one of those family things where if I confess to doing something that I didn't do, somehow that's going to resolve the family breakup? You guys fight with each other over other stuff too, not just me.
It wouldn't bring the family together, but it would heal us individually, for sure. And then there'd be an end.
What exactly are you looking for, Sarah?
Nothing. I don't expect anything from you. Literally,
please tell me what. Just like when James, he was him-hawing around and around and around of this and all. Like I said, wait a minute, James. Enough is enough. What are you getting at? Just come straight forward with us, son, please. It's much easier than this you beating around the bush thing.
I already told you what I think.
Okay.
But I couldn't live my life. You're getting older, and if you pass and something happens to you, whatever, I couldn't live my life knowing I didn't look you in the eye and tell you.
Okay. Well, that's good. Then what you really need to do then is to make a date. Because hopefully, and I hope this is the truth, that I don't have to live through any of my children dying or anybody else disappearing. Okay? I mean, that's enough from one lifetime. Okay? Or have a wife 11 years younger than me die. Be there at the deathbed, Sarah, and I'll give you all the honest answers you want to hear.
Why don't you give them to me now?
Because you got them now.
Then why are you making me this offer to go to your deathbed?
I don't know, Sarah. What are you looking for? I don't really think you fully understood the way your sister really was. You think your sister would have put up with me molesting her, Sarah?
Probably.
Bullshit.
If she was scared and bullied and...
If she would have thought for 1 minute that I had done something to you, she would have definitely gotten my face. She'd have gone to the back. Just like you said, she'd have slit my throat.
I know, but you didn't do anything to me, so she didn't.
How would she know that, Sarah?
I would have told her.
We spent time alone, didn't we?
Because I was taught to be honest, and I was
honest. And I was lurking in the corner getting ready to molest anything that walked by, including chickens. Did the dogs say anything? I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm just really... I mean, I expect people to be the way they are because that's just the way people are. People would prefer to believe a rumor anyone than a lie any day of the week, sir, than they would with facts. Believe me, I've, as a citizen, as a police officer, as everything else, I have seen all of this stuff in my lifetime. And sit back and watch the whole crowd was totally convinced of something. The whole society, the news media, everybody was convinced that this was exactly what it was. And then as time went by, it came back around and they went, oh shit, I guess we were wrong on that one.
Well, I hope that's what happens.
I wouldn't even want to talk to anyone like me. You're not supposed to. You were raised not to. So what in the hell are you doing?
That's not a reason to justify. That's not a plead for your innocence, the fact that I'm talking to you. Like I said, I couldn't live with myself without looking in the eye. I don't want to.
You think I could live with myself if I did something? I feel so bad because I ran your sister off, Sarah. And you want to know one of the real reasons, why she was, Sarah? Because she was sick of me, as she said, exploiting her inability to do her schoolwork. All the heat and people, teachers talking to her and saying things, how your dad stirred up some more shit about the Ames test because you think you're special, you're not going to have to take it. Yeah, honey, don't worry about it. Your daddy's going to make sure of this. She was sick of that. She didn't want to testify. She wouldn't even give me a statement that I needed against the Deer Valley School District of what the hell they did to her ass.
Yeah, because they made her ride the short bus. She didn't want any of that.
Yes, and they made her ride the crippled bus. Yes, exactly right. You don't think she was sick to death of me over that shit? Yes, she was, Sarah.
That was years.
And the one thing I didn't want her to do.
That short bus was years before she left.
Whatever.
She ran.
Years and years of stuff, whatever I did wrong, thinking I was protecting my most weakest child because we had a damn school district that loved to kick them out and meeting with parents and bringing in your sister. And I kept asking those idiots that evaluate her, and they kept saying, well, she can't be learning disabled because she's not a behavioral problem. I said, you know, is there somebody just stuck on stupid in this room, or is it just me? Did you people read those evaluations? Maybe you should read something other than what American doctors wrote. Okay? ADDs usually are not behavioral problems. They just have a short-term memory.
ADDs,
frontal lobe. That's what their conclusions are. Germany, France, Canada. I researched the shit out of it because I kept giving information to them. Many of the teachers took it. But the other assholes didn't. They kept saying, well, she should have been a behavioral problem. She's suppressed. She's suppressed because she's tired of people thinking that she's a Looney Tune.
Well, she grew up thinking she was stupid and that she needed extra help, so how did you expect her to grow into an adult? Well, I can't do anything about what her siblings did to her. Any more than I could have done what the siblings did to my first wife. There's nothing you can do about it. We all bully each other.
Alissa did some of the stupidest things on the planet. She talked to her little sister into jumping off of a house onto a trampoline. She climbed the highest branch she could get. Your mother would come outside and just literally, which your mother rarely ever got excited. She thought she was going to have a coronary because Alissa was in a top branch.
Kids are inquisitive. Kids do that kind of shit.
Peeing in a cup and giving it to some other child because somebody else tells you to do that kind of shit. That went on and on. Taking all of my medication. Jesus Christ, Sarah, she took 22 halcyons.
So why wasn't it locked up?
Yeah.
Because I was stupid. She was a teenager then, for Christ. What was she, 16, 17? She's in there taking him with that Mike friend. Rhett took him home. I mean, everybody keeps forgetting the damn dumb things that she kept doing over and over again.
What does that have to do with anything?
So much anger.
Then you tell me one thing. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me one thing. Give me one good reason why. And you really believe that I killed your sister?
Yeah.
Tell me. Why would I kill her?
To keep her quiet.
About what?
The sexual molestation.
Oh,
good for you.
And everything else.
Same there.
And everything else? What everything else?
The overbearing, the surveillance, the contracts, the rules.
The surveillance.
Do you not remember me asking you to take the camera out of the vent and then you gave me the camera detector? If that was for the safety of your family because our RV got stolen, why would that end when Alissa left?
It didn't end when Alissa left.
Then why were you so lax with the cameras and then I had the cameras in my room because you moved me to the master? Because you started thinking and being paranoid of, I don't want you watching me all the time, Dad. And I said, fine, Sarah, you put them in your room then. Because you need to do the surveillance because the fact we have had a lot of vandalism. We have had a lot of things
you're trusting a 13-year-old to do that surveillance for you?
I don't know, Sarah. You mean my stupidity of trusting my daughter who I thought had more common sense than I did?
You asked, and I'm giving you your answers.
Right. And I'm trying to give you an answer back for something that doesn't make it. You're trying to tear me apart for the simple sake of arguing.
No,
I need to look you in the face and get these answers. So I'm not hearing it from the news. So I'm not hearing it from detectives. I'm not hearing from Mike or John or whoever.
Sarah, I snapped in 1993. I was never the same after that.
Everybody knows. We don't need to go back that far.
Oh, hell, we do. We need to go back as far as you possibly want to go back because the fact that one of the few people that really understood that I was having problems, that's why she would drive you some places once in a while, even though she didn't have her driver's license. Because Alissa from time to time would see me sitting there literally staring at the walls, watching a movie that I've watched 15 times in a row and drooling, and she would feel sorry for me. She'd come up and give me a hug and say, Dad, I'm really sorry you're feeling bad. Okay? Nobody else was doing that.
Did I not do the same thing when I got older? To an age where I could recognize that and bring you your meals in bed? Did I not do that?
You brought me meals in bed?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
oh my God.
Okay, cool.
I remember being sick. I've probably been sick sometimes because I wasn't getting sick a lot. But I don't remember meals getting brought in bed.
Because you'd always leave your stuff in the microwave until I'd come bring it.
Because most of the time I got up and cooked the meals. You know, usually we had chicken and fish. That was the only two things I cooked. Most of them all little hamburger. But I don't like American hamburger. It's got too much junk in it. I don't know, sir. I don't have an answer for all the issues in there. But, you know, I just... Maybe time will heal it. Maybe it won't heal it. I don't know. What I am glad, though, is that all of my children seem to be successful. As far as the drudgery, the memories and stuff, the best thing I ever gave my oldest sister was when I told her, Norma, you've done all you can for our mother. You forfeited a lot of your life. You've lived with her and all the other kind of stuff. She keeps feeding you the memories that keep causing you to have all of these horrible nightmares and bad times and everything else. It's time for you to get away from our mother. She'll be fine. She'll make it. Trust me. She's a survivor. She will survive. You don't have to sit there with her and continuously battle with your memories about it. Especially after we lost our sister because of false memories implanted into her to a point she believed she had an appendix. You need to trust your memory, what you saw.
I didn't see anything. That's the problem.
And if you don't see anything, maybe there's something to that.
What about your older son seeing things? Because they were older and not children?
And which older son? You mean James?
No, don't mean
Rhett?
James.
What did Rhett see? Rhett didn't see anything. He was so screwed up on drugs.
How about Mike?
What about Mike?
What's his excuse?
What did he see?
That's for you and Mike to talk about.
Well, he hasn't brought it up yet. I asked him before if he's seen anything. Please let me know because maybe I perceived one day I've turned in a job from Dr. Jekyll from Mr. Hyde. Or however it went the other way around. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Who knows? I know many, many, many times. I cannot tell you how many times I walked your sister around because she would get into somebody's medication or somebody would give them, especially those assholes next door who kept giving her that one, what was his name, Josh or whatever it was, the one kid next door that kept giving your sister stuff, gave her bombs,
Joshua Masterson, yes.
And your sister would come just totally, her and Shay that one day was sitting there with their eyes twirling around, looking around, and I said, what the hell's going on now? And Rosemary comes over because she was a little concerned about her son, and she hides her son, afraid I'm going to kill him. Like my sister held Jeff, afraid I was going to kill him. Kill anybody over that shit, but I definitely sure wanted to tell him get the hell away from the family. With their stupid shit, bringing booze to my dad after I got him dried out. Him giving illicit drugs like that. Alyssa tried a lot of different drugs, Sarah. I didn't think you did. You're educating me again, just like I didn't know that Alyssa brought those two guys in the house whenever I went to go to that school. Configuration group, I didn't know that.
Kids do those
I didn't know she drove the car across town. I didn't know that the trampoline thing till you tell me so. And that just makes me a bad parent. But a murder, no, honey. You're going to have to somehow resolve it in your own mind.
Or meet you on your deathbed.
Meet me on it's just a saying, Sarah. I'm just saying, hang around the longer time. If you think there's a hereafter and there's an answer, you'll get your answer then. This is just a short drop in the bucket, Sarah. Life is. Some people get good cards, other people don't get good cards.
So yeah, that was truly just, I mean, that put it all together for me as far as this idea that he was involved. I mean, first of all, the anger in his voice when talking about Alissa is there. There's like that aggressive,
such an idiot.
For a dad that claims that she just ran away and disappeared, because of him. And, all these factors in that fact, she was stupid in the school district. Like he kept drilling the school district, like finding every reason for it to not be him, essentially. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he dances around it.
He
for
does.
Sure. I mean, and I'm pretty straightforward with him. Like I don't beat around the bush a whole lot there.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I give it right to him. And, and I talked about this before when he gets angry, he talks through his teeth. It's like something he did when I was a kid that I was always like, oh man, like that, he's mad.
Yeah.
And at first,
stupid
idiot. And when he did it, I'm like, I do the thing where I'm like, okay, like, I lean back and then I'm like, no. And I start to lean forward and I put my elbows on the table and I'm just like, no.
Yeah,
you're done.
You're done.
You're not intimidating me. You're not manipulating me. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't just go off on a tangent and hope I forget about it. Like, the whole reason we're here is to talk about Alissa.
Yeah.
Not about your brother,
Yeah.
Whatever
like,
the hell.
He tries to deflect too. Like you can just tell he deflects and diverts to other directions, blames everybody else but himself.
Mm-hmm. And we had to cut down the recording a little bit for this episode because it is really long, but a lot of it was just rambling about other stuff, like trying to change the subject, going off on tangents.
Yeah.
So we spared y'all from that.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, even at one point when I, accuse him and I say like, she was put in this position where she was, told she was stupid her whole life.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's going to take the abuse from you. Like, he's like, you really think she'd take that crap? And I'm like, yeah. Because you like conditioned her to take it.
He can't comprehend that. Like that doesn't make any sense to him.
He says, I can't help what her siblings did to her. Like accuses us of creating that inside of her.
Ridiculous.
Like, absolutely not. Like, I would always tell her like, oh, I know you're supposed to have a bad memory, but yours is better than mine. Like we joke about it because I've always had kind of a crap memory and hers was always better. But
ADHD isn't, or ADD, whatever. He said ADDs.
I know, like as a collective, right? Like as a group, the group of ADDs.
Attention deficit disorder is not that intense, like to where you have to ride a special bus and stuff. Like I had that, and I had some special ed, but I never had to like ride a special bus. And that seems like really overblown. Like he didn't quite understand how non-serious it really was.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing with that was he was trying to sue the school district to get her like specialty classes and like access to special education. And they're like, okay, Mr. Turney, we have two tracks. We have, the special education classes or we have the normal classes. Right. This was 2001, whatever it was, 1999.
Yeah.
It wasn't as big of a thing as it is now. It's not like they had all these programs for these kids. So basically my dad broke down the school and said, okay, put her in the special education classes. And they said, okay, then she needs to ride, she has to switch buses. She has to be on the bus for the special kids.
Right.
And she was mortified. And that's when she would skip school. And he talks about when she invited boys over to the house. And that's when I blackmailed her into not telling our dad. I, made her give me something out of her room. To not tell him, but I mean, give me a break. Like you're sneaking a boy into the house when your dad's gone. Like I don't care. It's not a big deal. But that's the whole thing with the school district and him suing them. And she was supposed to be this key witness, and he was supposed to get all this money that he never got. And that's what he's trying to say. Like I didn't kill her. I needed her to get this money.
Yeah, he's trying to justify it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's so delusional. It's like unbelievable.
Such a manipulator too. Like, and it seems like he'll like take a little pause and then it'll just go. Like he needs to like think of his story and then it just goes.
Totally.
Well, I think I stop him in his tracks a few times.
Yeah, you did.
It goes silent for a second. He's like kind of reeling and like, oh, okay, how do I answer this without, making myself look like I'm involved? Or I'm sure that goes through his head constantly. I mean, if in fact he did.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the fact that he goes on and on and on about all the stupid things she does. She just stole pills all the time. She's
such an idiot.
And for such a stupid person that he seems to, make Alissa look like, she could really go and just disappear and run away. Like she has
such
that
an
ability.
idiot, but she can like disappear off the face of the earth.
With no cell phone, no money, no nothing, and she just like vanishes. And
that's the biggest thing, is that she had that money saved up and didn't take it. Yeah. Like, come on, anyone knows that if you run away, you take your money. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense.
Especially cash. Like, you deposit all the cash you can.
You take it all out in cash, and you go, totally.
Yeah, and $1,800 is a lot when you're 17.
Yeah.
Why would she leave without that? It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean,
no.
And then he kind of switched gears and was trying to, because like as soon as you started like kind of firing back at him, he started like being like, oh, well, it could have been this or her boyfriend's or all this crazy. He just continues to deflect and, be like, you really think it could have been me? Like,
yeah. And I'm like, I definitely think it was you. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, come to the deathbed and we'll see, not everybody gets good cards. And I'm like,
why would you say that?
Who says
he's
that?
guilty, because he's taunting. At this point, he's taunting me.
Yeah, he is.
He thinks he's so smart that he got away with it. And right now he is getting away with it. And he is smart enough to get away with it. And it's infuriating.
And he probably knows that. He's probably smart enough to know if he did tell you, you're likely recording him.
Oh, yeah. He's the one who taught me it's a one-party consent state. He taught me I could record him.
Taught you the rules, the tricks.
Yeah, that's where I learned it from, and it just backfired on him. But it's infuriating. I mean, I think what's most infuriating is he's literally getting away with it. That he's taunting, and he has every right to laugh about it. Like, it's horrible and it's sick, but he's literally getting away with it. I mean, no one on the internet thinks he didn't do it. Like, he's not getting away with it in the internet community at all.
Right.
But legally, legally, he's getting away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's proud of that in a way.
Oh yeah, he taunts me. He's so aggressive. Like, if you really want your youngest daughter to like come back, with open arms, is that really the way you talk to her?
Wouldn't you make a plea, like a public plea too? Like, or Sarah, please, or Alissa, please come back. Like, why wouldn't you be doing everything you can to make your daughter want to come home? But instead he's running around talking about how stupid she is all the time.
Exactly.
And you'd think if your daughter went missing or possibly could be dead, you wouldn't speak so ill of her all the time.
Yeah, that's my thing.
You'd be like, oh my gosh, remember this? And like,
I love you. And the way that he's like, I love you girls or whatever. And, it's just so fake.
Exactly.
It's so fake. His whole, he doesn't really show emotion at all. But just when he says those things, it's so, like, I don't even think he realizes how clear as day it is that you clearly don't give a fuck about your kids. Like,
exactly.
It's so obvious, dude. Like, you're just going through the motions to try to shut people up, to keep, he's clearly tried to stop you. He's like trying to stop you from, he's like, how do we close this? How do we reconcile?
What do you want?
Wrap this up. Like, what answers do you want from me?
And it's like, you know exactly what I want, dude. I want you to tell the truth, and you're not going to. So there's nothing to talk about anymore.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't expect anything from you, because I didn't go there expecting a confession. I didn't go there expecting those 2 near confessions. They're gold to me now. I mean, it was really shocking and crazy, and
I bet
I haven't talked to him since. I mean, I'm like tempted to all the time, but I think he's probably caught on that I'm kind of recording all that. I'm sure my brothers told him. I'm sure. Because they don't want him in the media, so they're probably telling him to stay away from me.
Yeah, that's so. Explain like your family dynamic a little bit now, like as much as you can or you want to.
Yeah, it's hard. There's no family dynamic. It's like when people reach out and they're like, thoughts to your family. We feel so bad, and it's just me, and I don't want to sit here and bash on my brothers. But I will say that it breaks my heart, and it would have broken Alyssa's heart that they don't only not help, but they kind of impede it in a way.
Because you think they know that.
They know. They knew before I did. I was the last person to come around.
So they did. Okay.
Yeah. So they know. They know. Everybody's in agreement that my father killed my sister. But they, some want him in their lives. Some have tried to stop really big media opportunities that are really frustrating. There was a college that partnered with the 2 detectives who were on the case for 10 years, and they were going to do a presentation. It was Inside the Criminal Mind, and it was all about my dad and about what made him crazy and about what made him tick. And then one of my brothers got that stopped.
Wow.
And we've had a really rocky relationship ever since. Because, like, oh my
God,
why wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, a whole study was done on it by these, like, forensic psychiatrists, like these, these
never go to see the
professionals. Yeah, no, nothing.
It'd be really interesting to hear their perspective on this, because I think they would be able to
Another reason why you need a documentary.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could go on forever.
Really could.
But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. And the dynamic between the family right now is tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. I'm like not being invited to family events anymore. So I just...
Because he's there, right?
Yeah.
Your dad.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I just distanced myself. And I told them a long time ago, like, if he's there, I won't be there. Just know that. Because I don't want to be around him. I won't do it. Like, it's absolutely horrendous. Like,
well, in a sense, it's disrespectful to Alyssa.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like, to some extent, like, obviously it's family, but, you know, blood doesn't make somebody family, like, especially in this kind of situation where a family member could have, you know, murdered another one. Like,
and I think that's why
kind of that ends, like,
feel so comfortable not, you know, accepting him, because at the end of the day, Alyssa's not their sister, you know, fully.
Yeah. And
so,
it's sad, but
which is still
shows. Yeah.
It shows.
Terrible. I mean,
yeah. Well, and even with me, it shows, like, you know, I'm not full blood, so why help me?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of always been that way. I've always been on my own. But it was really, really hard to like stop being invited to stuff. And
yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, it hurts my heart a lot. Not to say I'm totally disconnected from them at all, like, and that they're all terrible, but it's destroyed us. And I mean,
ripped your family apart.
Absolutely.
How could it not?
Yeah. Well, and I just can't. Like, they don't like what I'm doing, and so they try to stay away. And I get that, but I have to do it. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to be loyal to the 17-year-old that was raped and murdered.
That's your blood sister.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
I mean, even if she wasn't blood, like, I'm going to be on the kid's side.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that. And it's easier to just pretend everything's fine, you know?
Yeah.
And not have to fight with him and explain where your dad is and all this stuff.
Yeah. No.
Well, especially when it's like so clear too.
Yeah.
It seems so obvious and so clear, yet we can't like nail it down, you know? Like,
so let's talk about that then. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you got it.
Like from where Josh is going, what have you been doing since like we did the video? On a legal front, like what are you trying to get done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get this case into the hands of the DA, into being prosecuted. I want him to be prosecuted. That's exactly where I'm at. I just need them to do it.
Yeah.
So I've been working with the police. I've been working with the DA's office and trying to make it happen. So since the video, that really started everything. The video sparked interest in this really wonderful young woman named Brooke, who's been working with me in the podcast. Shout out to Brooke.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she created this 12 Days of Alissa campaign over Christmas. Sorry, my headphones keep slipping.
You can tighten them a little bit if you want. I noticed they were like kind of loose.
Yeah, so she started this campaign, and at 12 Days of Alissa, and every day was like a different type of action item. And one of the days was call the Maricopa County District Attorney's Office and, you know, tell them about Alissa. And I call at like, I don't know, 3 or 4, like near the end of the day. I want to, I want to be like one of their last calls. And so I call, and a gentleman answers, and he's a detective that's worked there for 14 years. And he says, we've been getting calls all day. Because, I say, hi, I'm the sister. We've been getting calls all day. He said, I had never heard of this case before, but I do not understand why we have not taken it. And then he goes even further, and he says, I looked in our system, and we have actually submitted to the police an official request for them to present this case for prosecution. And they never responded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was an eye-opener.
How'd that make you feel like when you heard that? Like,
super pissed.
Oh, I bet.
Super pissed. I mean, excited.
But also like, what the hell, police department? Like, what are you doing?
It confirmed all my suspicions that they just don't want to do it, that they have something to hide.
Interesting that phone calls makes me like, in the future, I'm going to keep that in my back pocket if I need to harass some more police. Because
letters don't work.
I don't think letters work. I'm going to like ask people to start calling from now on, because wow, honestly though, good for you, Brooke. And she's just a subscriber. She's young, like she's a teenager.
She just turned 18. This is her last week of high school.
And for a teenager to go and do that and get enough people to call that, something moves along, like it just shows the power. Even if you think you don't have enough of a platform, or, who cares, or you're not gonna be able to help, you can. And if you're passionate about something or someone's case, like you should absolutely get involved. So shout out to you, Brooke. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Brooke is the best.
That is pretty cool.
But get involved. The power is real. I mean, my voice was nothing to them, but once I got your voice and your subscribers, and that's when they started to listen. So I've been doing podcasts like crazy.
And that's why this stuff is important. Like, a lot of people don't understand why crime, internet true crime is a whole new thing for victims, for advocating for victims. It really is, because it's giving people a voice that the media may not want to give them a voice, or their story might be too rough, or not enough, or, what we've been dealing with. There's not enough new stuff, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or people don't want to film or interview, things like that too.
But the internet's different, because no one's going to be like, oh, well, there's no new stuff since you've been on Kendall's channel or whatever. They're going to be like, come on, like every episode's going to be different. You're going to get something different, reach new people.
Yep.
It's just a whole different world. It really is.
Yeah, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, just, the followers I've gotten and the messages. The messages are what keep me going. Like, it's so nice. Like,
I think that's one of the most important parts about this.
Yeah. Well, and especially, like we were talking about, like, I don't have family support. Like, they hate that I do this mostly. Yeah. So it really, really helps when people reach out and they're like, I love you, and I felt so touched by your sister's story, which I hear all the time. And people come to me with stories of abuse, or they come to me and asking for help. And like, I love, like, I want to help so many people. And the fact that Alyssa's story is like going on and affecting people, like, is so amazing to me. Like, like that she can like live on that way.
Yeah. That's literally how her legacy lives on.
Yeah.
And not only that, she, in a sense, is going to end up helping and potentially even saving other people. I mean, that's what's so cool about it is that it spreads, the message spreads. And, before you know it, more and more people are now doing the same thing, advocating for victims and stuff, which is so important.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. Like,
really does.
The police don't want to hear from me. They don't care. No. Like, they want to hear from a million other people that care. It's that public pressure.
Yeah, totally.
Well, in a sense, it kind of motivates them in a way. As fucked up as it is, it does motivate police to solve the case, because if they do, they know they got a huge audience to go, bravo, good job. You guys solved the case. And they get a bunch of media attention for it, right? Yeah. And that's what they want. Police will look for any way to get good media,
they don't like the press
coverage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in this day and age with all the shit going on with
it would look good
police
to solve
brutality
this
and
all
stuff.
Years later.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Whenever they get a cold case, it's like front news on CNN and every other, national site. And this would be, I would imagine be a front page story, like if it's solved. And
and the fight's still going on. Like you're pushing for prosecution one day. And
no, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I did a ton of media after you, which is amazing. I think it really opened a lot of doors. And then in January, I met with the police, and that was a really rough meeting. What happened was in the fall, I reached out to the gentleman that was supposed to be the head of my case, Sergeant Brian Corus, and I said, "What are my options for charging sexual abuse charges? Like, what's the statute? I don't know." And he says, "I was told that there were no allegations of sexual abuse in this case." And so, of course, I write back like, "Excuse me, like,
what are you talking about?
I'm like you released the video to 2020 with these accusations. Like, that was your department.
And told you the day that he got raided. That happened.
I mean, not that specific gentleman, but your department.
Department.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what are you talking about?
They're not on the same page,
Yeah, and he goes silent for like 60 or something. I forget the number of days. It was a ridiculous amount of days.
Sure, he had an oh shit moment where he
of course you do. Yeah. When you get called out for not knowing anything about the case that you're supposed to be the lead on, you probably go, shit, I'm not doing my job right.
He's like, I gotta read all the case files. I should have did that. Before I called her.
Probably should have like watched the 2020 real quick.
God, if anything, that's like the bare minimum. He could have at least thrown John Quinones on. Like, come on.
Dear God.
So I'm pissed, right? Because before this, I was dealing with two wonderful detectives that were
you really liked them.
Mysteriously reassigned days before my father got out of prison, right? And then I have these like no-name detectives that never knew anything about the case. So I'm pissed, and nobody will get back to me. And I literally request a meeting with the chief of police.
Good for you.
I'm like, I can't get an answer. I don't understand. Like, I want to talk to somebody.
They're just going to keep giving me the runaround. Let's go to the top and sort this out.
So what they did was sent me right back down to the bottom like they do. And they sent me to the commander of the unit, right? They're like, no, you can't meet with the meeting of police, or the chief of police. Like, who do you think you are?
Right.
Yeah.
But you can meet with the commander of the unit. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I'm so, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for whatever I can get.
Yeah.
And I go and meet with her, and the guy isn't there who's supposed to be the lead on the case.
Oh my Jesus.
Like, I mean,
just a shit show.
The whole thing. Like, she lied about so much stuff. She lied about the reason for the meeting.
And you have this recorded too, right?
Yeah. One party consent state.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I don't trust the police anymore. They lie.
You have every reason not to trust them. At least that department.
Yeah. So I go in there, right? And she was like, she's like, okay, what are we going to talk about? I forget exactly what she says. And I'm like, well, I haven't heard from you guys in 60 something days. So I was, really concerned. And she goes, well, that's why I emailed you. I told him not to contact you so that I could. And I said, then why did it take, 2 months or whatever it was? And, why did I have to go to the chief of police? And she was like, no. I wanted you here for this meeting. And I was like, no, I went to the chief of police to get this meeting. And she's like, it was a little bit of both. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
Oh
Lied to my face about so many things. When I start complaining about the 2 detectives being reassigned, she goes, no, Sarah, Summershoe's always been on your case.
What do they think this is? Do they think you're dumb?
There's a highlight on my Instagram from before that meeting when they sent me the email saying that they weren't on the case anymore. It's like me, sad.
Yeah. You just imagined working with them like it was all a dream?
Yeah, right? No, she's like, no, he's always been on that case. And I was like, I'm like, no. And she's like trying to fight with me. And she's like, Sarah, let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
And I look her in the eye and I go, okay, well, I'm just really happy that our emails are public record. That's all I can say. Because I have emails backing this up. Because I basically just okay, let's change the subject because you're just lying straight to my face.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not going to engage in this bullshit.
Yeah, and never in my life would I have ever thought I would speak to a police officer like that. I am despite everything, very respectful. Have always been. If you when you listen to the recording, in the very beginning,
totally.
I'm extremely respectful. All my emails, please and thank you. And they are just.
But you don't take shit.
No, I don't
take
shit.
shit.
No, not anymore.
And manipulate.
And when your dad started giving you shit, you shut his ass down and were like, look, dude,
I'm that person
not here to bullshit with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you get forced to, right?
Yeah.
I just have to, or else I'll be ran all over by these people.
Totally. And that's what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah. No, she was trying to strong arm me harm. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, let me finish.
Yeah.
She was so rude, and you can tell she didn't know the case.
She had no idea.
Yeah.
She's just treating you like some person off the street that's just bothering her.
Disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, no, and I'm like, oh, my expectations, of this silent witness campaign you offered me wouldn't have been so high if you didn't tell me I'd have a billboard in every freeway in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And you gave me none. I wouldn't be so upset about it. And she turns to me and she goes, who told you get a silent witness campaign?
Oh my God.
And then she told, and she says, I can't speak to anything you've been told in the past. Then why are you meeting with me?
Yeah, you need to send someone else in that can then.
Yeah, no, and what's funny is the guy, I forget who he is because I'd never met him before this. He's laughing. He knows.
Oh my God.
He just can't believe it.
So this woman was literally just blowing smoke up your ass and just bullshitting you.
Yeah, about
the entire
everything. Everything. And she kept, she's like, oh, well, we can't charge him with sexual abuse charges. And that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to respond to my damn email. If you tell me that it's too far out or, the statute's passed or you don't have enough evidence. Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. I get that. That's not what it's about.
Fucking communicate and explain it. It's not that hard.
But don't release people saying these allegations to the news to news media.
Right.
Don't release it to 2020 and then tell me you've never seen it before. Because I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And just the runaround the whole time. And she was like, well, Alyssa's not here, Sarah. What are we supposed to do?
Oh my gosh.
We're supposed to
be her advocate because she's not here, dumbasses. Wow.
It was infuriating.
So frustrating.
Oh yeah, I left and I was like, well, I'm sorry. This was a waste of everyone's time.
Oh my God.
And she's like, no, it wasn't a waste of our time. And I said, oh, it definitely was. And I stormed out.
Good for you. Yeah.
I was fucking over it.
I'd be
just done.
Stop by the secretary, be like, I need the chief of police next time.
Yeah.
The hell?
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to release the full audio. I she should be fired over it. I don't even care. She's like, this is my case in my hands. Okay. Then it's in your hands.
And she's the commander for which unit?
The family investigations unit. So she's over.
She does all anything family investigations. So
she's over the detectives that had worked on my case.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So she is the end all be all of this case right now in that unit, which is why I've been specifically targeting her in media and putting her quotes out there because they're absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Have you filed a complaint with the department about her?
Yeah. Oh yeah. like ever since, well, so I never filed a single complaint against the police department until they reassigned my detectives and put these detectives on that never looked at the case.
Yeah.
One woman refused to talk to me on the phone. She wouldn't
ridiculous.
she wouldn't take her sunglasses off when she was like in a meeting with me. She didn't say one word.
You. My God.
It's gross. And so and she was like so rude to me. Like I literally complained and said that she needed sensitivity training.
Yeah.
Because she was just awful.
Probably.
When they don't brief him on the case and like it's just a joke. Like at this point I can tell that it's just being passed through hands that aren't taking a second
busy
look
with
at
other
this.
stuff.
They're just like giving, like sending someone to deal with you, basically.
Yeah.
Go deal with this angry sister.
Yeah. Oh, and this amazing sergeant that has like charges on his records for tampering with evidence. Like, thank you so much. I have so much confidence in this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
who doesn't answer
story.
my emails and lies and
So, yeah, clearly, like, you know, at the end of the day, she has to go through a lot of avenues to get help. And so that's where the financial help would really come in, because obviously when you don't have the support from the police, you really have to go to other resources and
it's on your
take
own.
things further.
Have you ever, I was going to ask you, have you ever like had a PI look at this or anything? Like,
no, and it's funds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's expensive to hire a private investigator.
Well, and I don't know what they'd find.
Well,
like as much as I would love them to find something, it's a lot to go out on a limb just to hope.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, but there's so many different avenues too, right? Like, do I look for a body? Do I get the PI? Like, do I just like
if you had like a more of a clear path forward, maybe it would be like easier to, you know, say, hey, let's spend money to do that. Like, you know, if you had a location of possibly where her remains could be or something like that, then I could understand that. But yeah, I mean, it's really just like, unless he confesses, I mean, I don't know what else really you can do.
And that's what they told me. Yeah. That they, you know, they were like, we need him to confess. And I said, well, you can't even get an interview with him. But I think I said, but this no name journalist on the podcast can. Like, how is that my fault? I said, you're putting all the responsibility on me. You basically just want me to give it to you.
Yeah, you just, Yeah,
you
I haven't even like tried.
Hand deliver a confession for you so you can do something. That's
and you got pretty close with that recording. Have they heard that?
Yeah, they have the whole damn thing and said, not good enough, kid.
Yeah, it's got to be like.
Oh my gosh. And they basically told you without a body, there's no way.
Yeah, well, they were like, we need somebody to come forward as a witness, but we won't actually run a silent witness campaign for you. Or we need a body, but we won't look for that body. And when I confront them about looking for it, she says, well, we don't know where to look. And I said, well, if you knew, then it would be easy. Then you would just go find the body. Like, that's the point. We don't freaking know. Like, you won't even try. Like, I'm trying to like contact the management company for this mall that I think she might be under, because it was, you know, under construction at the time. And the management company can't even get back to me, which I understand. Like, why would they ever be like, yeah, there's a body under our target? Obviously not.
They're like, shit, don't respond to this.
Exactly. Like, that's the worst PR for them ever. They're never going to work with me. But they would work with police, but they don't care. They don't want to help. Like, they're telling other victims that I'm like bad mouthing them now. When I like the two detectives that are on the case forever, I have always sung their praises. Like I always say, like they did a thorough investigation and they came to a reasonable conclusion that 99.9% of people come to.
Right.
And then they just don't want to pull the trigger. Yeah, they bailed and they gave me all these crappy detectives and like, you know, they sat me down and they said, we're not going to prosecute, go get media. I come back and say, I have 100,000 signatures. I have 1 million views on this YouTube video. We have this deal with, you know, this media company.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, and they go, I don't care if you get 1 million signatures. We need a body.
Oh my God. And that's just not true, because as you've posted, plenty of cases have been solved without bodies.
And in Maricopa County, there were 2 recent ones that were just accepted. County, in my county. So there's hope.
Yeah, there's definitely hope. And I want to let you guys know that you can still reach out to Maricopa County Police Department if you want to. You can call or write a letter or whatever you see fit.
Well, yeah. So Phoenix Police Department or Maricopa County, District Attorney's Office, State Attorney's Office. Okay. In the recording, she like fights with me. She's like, Sarah, we don't have a district attorney. We have a state attorney. I'm like, okay, Bill Montgomery's office, like whatever you call that. And she's like,
district attorney. I know him because he was from the Brandy Myers case too, right?
Yes. When she's like, just so we're clear, it's a state attorney. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. I don't care what you call it.
Oh my God.
What a stupid thing. It has nothing to do with that. Like,
no, she's so bad on that recording. She's like literally the worst human being I've ever spoken to in this case.
Wow.
I was going to say though, like I asked you this earlier, like I would, you know, I think it'd be great to see your dad under a polygraph, like, and ask these questions, like ask him point blank and see if he fails or passes. Like,
he won't do it.
And even if the police department could get enough circumstantial evidence or whatever, something just to bring him in for a formal questioning and interview and a recorded police interview and polygraph test.
Yeah.
What would happen from that? It might even be as simple as that. Or, do you think there could be a point where he might flip? Like, is there anything that they could do that might get him to flip, or you could do or is he going to take that, like he said, to his deathbed?
Yeah, I think to his deathbed. I mean, I'd always said, like, if I were pregnant with twins and put a gun to my head, he wouldn't tell me the truth. He doesn't care. He doesn't love his kids.
Yeah.
He'll never tell us. That would give us too much closure. And
why would you even say that? Like, it's so guilty.
Yeah. I mean, he's an awful, awful person.
It's a extremely bizarre answer.
It really is. It is. This whole case. Just so sorry for what you've been through, man. Like, God, years of this, and just the endless frustration and lack of help from experts and people that are supposed to be there to help you is probably just so mentally draining. And at the end of the day, just not knowing what happened to her is probably just devastating.
Well, I think what's really hard, right, is I grow up and I go through this journey and whatever, lots of kids have bad lives. Not a big deal. Like, I was neglected.
But it is. But it is a big deal.
But like in comparison, like, I like I said, grow up with this terrible life. And then I'm sat down by the police and like kind of forced to believing that he was this killer, right? Like, because it's not something that came naturally. They literally sat me down and said,
and they were the ones to tell you.
Yeah, let me flip your life upside down and tell your dad's a murderer, like right here and now. Like, what do you think of him now? And then I slowly but surely come around, right? And I'm like I come to them and I'm like, hey, like, I think my feelings have changed. Like, I'm totally honest with them. Like, like, I think you guys are right. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that, let's talk. Like, do you talk to your dad? And we're fostering this relationship for like 5 years where they're asking me to talk to my dad and try to get information. Where they're asking me different questions and again, fostering this relationship. And I've come around and then they're like, okay, well, this is the way it's going to work is when he comes out of prison, we're going to arrest him. So that way he can't combine sentences, because if we try to charge him when he's in the bombs, he'll be able to like serve double sentences and he'll get less time. This isn't something I know naturally. Like the police sat me down and told me, this is the plan. This is why we're going to do it this way. And then just days before, the detectives are mysteriously reassigned, which was a lie. The one detective really did go to another unit, but Summershoe was always on missing persons cases. In fact, you did a video about Brandy Myers. He's also Brandy Myers detective. Right. And he's still Brandy Myers detective. But they lie and, gosh, sorry, lost my train of thought really quick.
You're good.
So, they sit me down, they convinced me this whole thing, and then they reassign these detectives. And then a few months later, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm like, he's going to get arrested. He's getting out. They're going to arrest him. Sitting there the day of, I'm like calling Octavia, my close producer friend of Missing Alissa. And I'm like, it's going to happen. I'm like freaking out. She's like, I'm not ready. And nothing happens. And I finally go to them. Like, can we meet about this? Like, I don't understand why he's not being prosecuted. Like, let's meet. And they sit me down and the detective goes, we're not going to prosecute him, Sarah. Your best chance is media exposure.
Oh my God.
Right? So this whole journey. And then and then I come back with it. I'm like, okay, guys, got your media exposure. And they're like, no, go fuck yourselves, find a body. Like,
oh my God.
What the hell?
It's a roller coaster.
Did they say why? Did they give you a reason why they couldn't prosecute him?
They said they didn't have enough evidence. Whatever happened between those 2 months of we have enough evidence, we're going after him, to we don't have enough evidence, we're not. I don't know.
Did he threaten them or something?
I doubt it.
Yeah,
that's but still,
powerful.
I don't.
Then they would have definitely arrested him. Hopefully, if he was threatening the police department, unless it was on a personal basis to somebody there. But even then, there's a lot of people there. He shot everybody down. No,
this makes no sense.
They pulled out on it. For some reason,
there's something they don't want to be revealed or something.
Maybe it just it's going to show how shitty they did in the beginning.
I think that's a big part of it, right? Why didn't you investigate for 7 years?
Yeah.
Then they're going to get slain.
If it goes to trial, all of the holes that could be poked and why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
For sure.
I've been told more than once that I have a case against them for not investigating.
I was going to say,
this
at least
is sketchy. There's something... They don't want to do it for a reason.
Yeah, no, I have lawyers who want to sue them for me and I'm like, let's wait until after everything with Alissa and then we'll discuss that.
Yeah. But so you're still pushing for prosecution might happen.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So you're not giving up. So
I'm never giving
follow
up.
This. Keep at Justice for Alissa. And if you want to know updates as they come out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've been like teasing this big, case update, and there is.
Yeah.
And, so I had this
can't quite say it, but
I had this meeting with the police
stuff.
and they came back, and so there's good stuff happening, and I can't release it, but as soon as I can, I will. I'm like, I was telling you, I'm like dying to tell people. Like,
I wish I could too.
I want to tell people so bad because, because I do, and I can't say much more than that. But just know, like, I want everybody to know that their voices are being heard.
And this is not over.
No, it's not over. And they are making a huge difference. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, and I need, and I feel like I say this every time, but I need media pressure more. Yes. Like now more than ever.
You need people.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can attest to that.
Yes, it's for real. Like, it's not a joke when we say we need people to share things, and exposure matters. It truly does. It's not just for people's entertainment. Like, true crime is so important because these stories have to get out there, and putting public pressure on the police, like you said, really does lead to so many cases being solved. It truly does. Or prosecuted or whatever. So reach out. We'll leave the info below that you can use. And then also, if you are interested in supporting Sarah's journey to get justice for Alissa, we have those Justice for Alissa shirts available, t-shirts, mugs, long sleeve, short sleeve, hoodies. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
So, and 100% will go to Sarah. So you can feel good about purchasing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much for coming today. I mean, gosh, we talked a long time. I think this is our longest podcast ever, but
yeah, and we can go on forever. I know we have to like stop it, but I know it's crazy. And thank you so much. Like, really, your video changed everything.
Of course.
And I'm hoping that this will have, the same type of effect. I'm sure it will. Like, your people love you, and they love the case, and they do. And
they love you, and I think people see you being so passionate about this, and what you've been through, the fight you've put on for years for your sister, and they want to help. Why wouldn't you? So
I truly think in my heart that this is going to get solved.
I do too.
I think it's going to be resolved, and I hope it makes it to a court of law, and I hope that
the story's not over yet.
She gets the justice she deserves, and he has to come clean about this. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you get closure, right? Is he comes clean and says, here's what happened. Because you want the truth.
Exactly.
That's the only thing left to gain from this is the truth.
Yeah.
You can't get her back. You can't get anything else back, but you can get the truth and at least, have closure. Justice for her, obviously.
And I know your sister's so proud. Aww, seriously. Thanks. I'm sure she's just blown away with how much you've done for her.
Maybe even, helping you out more than you even know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely something helping me. Oh my gosh.
That extra fire with the police and everything, you never know. That some extra energy from her for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, they're lucky that it's me and not her. They really are. I kid you not. I got all my strength from her. Yeah.
April 3rd. She's an Aries. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
And your dad, what's your dad's birthday?
February 19th.
Right.
So did you say Pisces?
Which,
serial killers.
I could go on and on, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us, Sarah. It was a really good time. As much as it's not a good time.
Yeah. And I mean, we laugh and joke, but it is what it is. And you have to like come to grips with it. And we laugh and we joke because it's so obvious what happened.
Right. That's really what it is.
It's almost like ridiculous that you just, totally.
Yeah. At this point, it's a joke. Why it's not in court right now.
Yeah, totally. Because there's no one out there, at least not that I've seen, that like thinks Michael Turney's innocent. I've never seen a subscriber comment be like, here's what I think. Well, you're wrong. Like never. I've never seen that. So seems like a slam dunk, but
be sure to like and share this video, with everybody. Cause the more people this reaches, the better it is for getting justice for Alissa. So thanks again for tuning into the Mile Higher podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
We will see you guys next time.